Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Thank you very much for asking. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome in the Tuesday morning edition to the Rob Brown Show. As on your radio, this is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Hope that you got a good, restful eve's worth of sleep after we all stayed up way too late last night watching Monday Night Football. We're back, baby. We are so bleeping back, y'all. How much did you make it through? Half, quarter, three?
Halfway through the third quarter, and then I watched the rest of the game this morning. That's
pretty good. That's pretty good game. Pretty good game. I know San Francisco kind of pulled away a little bit late there, but this is what we talk about. Preseason matters, right? Preseason matters, and we got a little bit last night from Peyton Manning, old Peyton, last night popping off on Brandon Ayuk for not getting a deal done. We got a report on what happened with that deal. Want to talk about that coming up in a little while, but preseason matters. The Jets did not have A-Rod of the football persuasion in the preseason, and it felt to me, agree or disagree, great one, felt to me like for a little while there, A-Rod was having a knockoff of a little bit of rust early in that contest.
I think it was more so the receivers. I mean, it was a little bit of both, but he had passes dropped, especially early on, by Lazard and some other guys. And by the end of the game, it seems like he was keying only on Garrett Wilson, and they knew that.
Totally agree. Also found out quite literally minutes before the game started that Christian McCaffrey was unavailable for the San Francisco 49ers last night. No run CMC for that squad. So all they could do was lean on a 4-year undrafted running back, the old runner back position, running back in Jordan Mason, who popped off for like $140 and a tutty and had, I believe, 2 called off the board for holding penalties. I also want you to know, I none of you care about this. I'm going to tell you anyway, because this is why I quit fantasy football, great one. This is why. When my league that I'm in, it's a 20-team league. I'm an idiot. Should have said no, all right? The kids, listen to your Uncle Rob. This is why Lonzo correctly and appropriately gave me crap. Do not give in to peer pressure, all right? Listen to me well, youngins out there. Do not give in to peer pressure. If you don't want to do the thing, don't do the thing. Doesn't matter who asks you, how hard, how much they ask you, how intensely they ask you. If you don't want to do a thing, don't do the thing. It is 100% okay to say no. Nobody's going to hold it against you. All right. Be a square. I think we still say that, right? Be a square.
Yeah, I think they stopped saying that in 1954. I'm not sure.
88 in the DeLorean. Be a square. It's okay. People are gonna forget you were square. Okay. I should have said no. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to give in to peer pressure. I'm going to play fantasy football. However, I found out a day and a half after I agreed to play that the night of the draft for my league, which is a keeper league, the night of the draft of my league.
All right, you need to explain keeper league.
Okay, so in a keeper league, you are allowed to keep players off of your roster from 1 year to the next. So if you have Christian McCaffrey, say, and you think he's going to have another big year, what you can do is, instead of drafting a player, you can keep that guy off your league at the cost of a draft pick. And ordinarily, the amount that it costs to keep that player escalates. So, like, if you got Christian McCaffrey last year, obviously you didn't, but if you got him last year in the second round and you want to keep him for another year, he'll cost you a first rounder. If you got him in the first round, you want to keep him another year, he'll cost you a first rounder and a seventh rounder. if you want to keep him another year after that first rounder. And every year it adds another draft pick, one round up to keep him.
Why is this so overly complicated? What makes this entertaining and exciting to play?
Because it's like playing a game of Madden versus franchise mode in Madden, right? Like you're not just playing this one game. You also got to kind of play the long game. Like there comes a spot where even a Christian McCaffrey, who is absolutely worth a first round pick, is he worth a first and a sixth? Is he worth the first and a fifth? Is he worth the first and a fourth? Sure, not disagreeing. Either way, the night of the draft of the 20-team league I'm in, I couldn't make it. I couldn't draft that night, which means Rob Brown's draft was auto draft. And I ended up with Christian McCaffrey on my squad as my first round pick. You know who else I ended up with on my squad auto drafted? Jordan Mason, his backup. It was very coincidental. So last night I went into this game in my fantasy league. I was down 3 points going into last night. I had McCaffrey. He had Brandon Ayuk. And I was down 3, which means I needed a baller night from Christian McCaffrey. I needed him to score 3 more fantasy points than Brandon Ayuk. And I felt pretty good about it, right? It's Christian McCaffrey. He's good for a tutty some point. And then it's, just a matter of will his rushing and receiving yards add up to be more than Ayuk's by 3 points. And I'm in a good spot. And I thought going in, I'm great. And then we're about 20, 25 minutes from kickoff. And the lady friend says, "Hey, can you run up to the corner grocery store? I got a couple of things I need to finish up dinner." And I'm like, "Yep, for sure. What do you need?" I went up there, and as I climb in the rig to head up to the store, and I turn on Sirius XM and I click it over to the NFL Network because I'm a local radio guy, except on big time game night when I need updates from the stadium. Right? I click on the NFL Net. Just in time and we're getting word that Christian McCaffrey has been declared out for this game. And I'm like, you've got to be bleeping kidding me. You got to be kidding me, man. So I go to my fantasy lineup. I have one option. That option, the only option I have, is to plug in his backup, Jordan Mason. And I'm like, Jordan Mason versus Brandon Ayuk, and I'm down 3 points. So you know what I did? I closed out my fantasy tab. When I got back to the house in time for kickoff, I went to the computer. I closed the laptop. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy this game for a Monday Night Football game. First Monday Night Football game of the year. I'm just going to enjoy this football game for football. I'll worry about all of that tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, Jordan Mason, 8 yards. Jordan Mason, 12 yards. Jordan Mason, tutty. Jordan Mason, touchdown number 2. Oh, it's off the board for a holding call. It's all right. They're going to run him 40 down to the 2. Uh-oh, they gave the tutty to Debo. That should have been Jordan Mason's. All of a sudden, I find myself in a dogfight, and Jordan Mason's 28 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown ended up winning my fantasy game. Week 1, Rob Brown is 1-0 in fantasy by 0.3 points. Over Brandon Ayuk. 0.3 points because Ayuk had 2 catches for 28 yards, and he dropped a touchdown in the end zone that I thought was going to send Peyton Manning into an ambulance.
Can you really claim it, though, since you auto-drafted?
Hell yeah, I can.
I mean, I don't
still
know.
had to set the lineup, baby. I still had to make the predictions.
Okay, all right.
Because it's a 20-team league. Okay, that means every round of the draft.
Can you trade and claim people off of waivers and stuff like that?
Yep.
So when you actually make some moves, then maybe you can.
Oh, I did. Don't get me wrong. I was worried. One of the moves that I made going into this thing is the as team name running up that Taysom Hill is now 1-0. Got the dub last night.
All right, so that's the best thing you've said so far. That was really good.
It's a pretty good name, right? Pretty good name. One of the moves that I made was going in, and I grabbed who did I grab? I grabbed I grabbed Zach Ertz up off the waiver wire. Somebody dumped him, which is good because Zach Ertz and his 3.33 fantasy points for the Commanders was the difference. right? Was the difference. Instead of who I had, Luke Musgrave, tight end for the Packers, who ended with 0 points in his first game. Made that move last minute. Made the flip. Yeah. Rob Brown, GM of the decade, man. GM of the decade to win and go 1-0. You know who I got auto-drafted as my quarterback, though, Zoe? You're going to laugh at this. You're going to fall over backwards. You know who my auto-drafted quarterback is? Caleb Williams, rookie for the Chicago Bears. And there ain't a damn thing I can do about it in a 20-team league.
It's poetic. That's what it is.
I mean, I got to tell you, I am ride or die with whether or not my Caleb Williams prediction is correct. And we talked a little bit about this because I think the dude is going to be a stud. You know who does it? The hoodie.
Whoever they played against in preseason, it wasn't the best players on the other team.
So what you're saying is, Coach, we can't plan a parade because Caleb was so accurate in the preseason.
Well, it wasn't accurate. He's 10 for 20.
Yeah, it's like you didn't watch the 20 throws. Come on. There's a reason he's excited.
It's 20 throws, Chad.
He buzzed through them. And
you got to think how good the 10 were that were completed.
Yeah.
You know, the extended plays, the
They
footwork.
weren't that good. There was a couple highlight plays.
See?
They weren't that good.
And no one's saying he might not be great. Yeah. But what we're saying is, it's just you need the context. It's like when I hear somebody's lighting it up in camp, I'm like, is he running with the twos? Is he going against the 2 defense? Is the quarterback struggling because he's got the 2 offensive line? There's just a lot we don't know.
Hoodie taking down my QB. That's my quarterback, man. That's my quarterback, man.
Where are your tears?
He's a rookie. It was game 1. He's a rookie. Let my man live. All right, give him some time. Give them some time. How many quarterbacks come out and tear it up in game 1, week 1?
CJ Stroud.
I don't think he tore it up in week 1 last year, did he? I think he was like, okay. And see, the problem with this is now I end up in a spot where I have to deep dive CJ Stroud's rookie year for no reason. You know how frustrating that is?
It was last year. It's not like that deep of a dive.
It's a long time ago, man. CJ Stroud, week 1, 2023 stats. Oh, man. See, this is so frustrating. Is this from last year? No, that's from this year. That doesn't help me. You get the point. The point here is it's week 1. No, that's 2024. Let's go back to 2023. Week 1. Okay, 20 of 26 for 264 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right, not the point. There's the exception to every rule, man. Exception to every rule.
I'm guessing probably Cam Newton probably had a really good, because he set rookie records and other records his first season. I mean, there are quarterbacks who've done pretty well you're right.
24 of 37, 422 yards, 2 touchdowns. Exceptions to every rule, even if there's multiple exceptions. All right. I'm not giving up on Caleb Williams. I'm not doing it. That's my quarterback, man. I am ride or die with Caleb Williams. Yahoo's fantasy evaluator says I have the best team in my league, but it is going to be 100% dictated by Caleb Williams. For the record, 91% of rosters that had Caleb Williams started him this week. And I feel good about that. Caleb Williams ended with 7.22 fantasy points. The guy I was up against started Patrick Mahomes, who had 14. So basically, I just need Caleb to get to Patrick Mahomes' numbers, and I'm going to be champ, man.
All right, so I'm not a big fantasy football guy, so I don't know. Do most teams have more than one quarterback?
Most teams will carry 2, but in a 20-team league, that's tough to do because obviously there's only 32 guys that start, which means that in a 20-team league, there's 8 teams that will have to pull a backup quarterback who likely won't see the field in the bye week. That's me. You know who my backup quarterback is? My go-to guy, and I put him on, and I'm gonna have to cut him. I'm gonna have to waiver cut him because he's not going to see the field this year as much as I had hoped he would. You know who I put on the bench? And the reason I did, because a keeper league, I can stash him for later. Spencer Rattler. And now I'm going to have to waive him because Derek Carr's out here throwing for 3 touchdowns and 47 points. I don't know if Spencer Rattler's going to get a sniff this year all of a sudden.
Do you really want a backup quarterback as your backup quarterback?
Again, it's a 20-team league. I don't have a choice, right?
Okay.
Just by definition, the first 20 teams get starters, and then 12 teams will get a starting quarterback as their backup. There are 8 teams, and because in a snake draft, and I was the second overall pick, that's how I ended up with CMC. In a snake draft, I can't have a back. You know what the play for me is? I have to go find a quarterback on the waiver wire that plays behind a quarterback that I think is going to get hurt. That's the only option that I have. And I tried to, you know who I tried to go get? I tried to go get Michael Penix Jr., unavailable. I forgot who it was, but I tried to go get the Jets backup quarterback, unavailable. Like, that's the other problem is teams know that. And so they go grab quarterbacks behind hurt guys.
I think it's Jacoby Brissett because
he's in New England. He's starting for the Patriots.
Well, it's one of those guys that go everywhere because he played like the last 2 minutes of the game last night.
I'm not gonna lie, I was very out last night.
Yeah,
I wasn't out. I checked out. Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those guys that goes to every team.
Poor Tyrod Taylor. I don't think anybody's gotten a raw deal quite like Tyrod Taylor has. Let's see. Who can I pick up now? I can pick up Taylor Heineke. I can pick up Tyrod Taylor's available. I could add Tyrod Taylor and play. You know, and this is the other part in a keeper league. Like, you're trying to do it strategically so you have guys that are worth carrying through year to year. And my thought was, hey, if Derek Carr stinks and the Saints stink, and I'm not going to give up on him yet because, hey, it's week 1 and we played the Panthers. But if Derek Carr is going to go out there and throw for 3 tutties a week, then Spencer Rattler's never going to see the field. He's not worth the keep spot anymore. Is Tyrod Taylor? Do we think Aaron Rodgers is making it a full year? I don't know. So thank you all for listening to my TED Talk as I walk you through my fantasy football selection process, something I know that literally no one cares about. You know what you do care about? Football. We're going to talk a bunch of football today. We're going to talk baseball today because, ladies and gentlemen, you woke up this morning to find out that the Atlanta Braves, not a playoff team as of right now. They are out of the playoff positioning right now. The New York Mets have surpassed the Atlanta Braves and taken the last wild card spot. Can the Bravos get it back? No, because they're about to start a 4-game set with the Dodgers. It's real bad for the ATL. We're going to talk about that. Get some NASCAR, the playoffs underway. It's going to be busy. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, you, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
3 friends.
All right, guys, quick live reading. We're back. Stay right there for me, please and thank you. All right. Good morning, Jersey Joe. Yes, indeed. How about your Mets? How about my Braves? Just can't beat the injury bug, man. Every time they get somebody back, somebody goes down. Infuriating. I am going to, at some point, whenever we do our James Earl Jones tribute, play a clip from Field of Dreams. We will probably need to take it out of the stream, would be my guess. I will let you know. Probably next hour. Probably second segment next hour. She's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products backed by real-person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Meet Cheryl. Hey, she's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so was her Chase debit card. It's gotta be somewhere. Maybe she lost it at salsa night. He searched her pockets. Or maybe she lost it at Pilates. But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it trains up. Tools to help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messages and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC. Sponsored by Bank of America. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com.
Mad World next break.
Mad World next break.
Filed against Deshaun Watson. What we know, we'll talk about. Our reaction to the Jets versus the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. And we'll talk to Jalen McGill of Mountain View Prep, our Wire-to-Wire High School Player of the Week. All coming up on the next Wire-to-Wire. Weasel and Cole Bryson really bring it on Wire-to-Wire. Turn it on and leave it on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan. Your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups, and the keeper of all things cool in the sports.
Monday Night Football going down last night. The San Francisco 49ers get a win over the New York Jets, 32-19, your final in this one. Aaron Rodgers making his return to the QB1 position for the Jets. Jets 13 of 21 for $167, a tutty and a pick in this one. Did take one sack, a 51.1 QBR, and 82.8 quarterback rating. If those numbers mean anything to you, just 68 yards on the ground for the Jets. 54 of them came from Breece Hall. Allen Lazard, 6 grabs, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Also dropped one early in the game that might have been a pop as well. And look, I think Lonzo hit on it earlier. Wide receivers dropped a couple for Aaron Rodgers, but it was very clear that this team was knocking the rust off. You know, we've been going at this 3-game preseason for a couple of years now, and we have been seeing the philosophy about whether to play or not to play starters in the preseason, and if so, for how much. We talked a little bit about this yesterday with the Carolina Panthers and what happened down in New Orleans, a demolition job at the hands of the New Orleans Saints. And I said my whole take on Carolina was, I'm not writing them off after this week. I'm not cooking them after this week. And a big part of the reason why was because of the fact that their starters played effectively 1 series, some of them 2 series in the preseason. That was the first action they've had. I do wonder if this is a conscious philosophy that head coaches made, or if it's a risk that they were willing to take, that it would take some time for their players to get caught up if they don't play in the preseason. Peyton Manning last night on the Manning cast after Brandon Ayuk, who did not play in the preseason, him for a different reason, obviously, because he was holding out for a contract resolution, which he got. Turns out, and I don't know if you heard this story yesterday, reported by a couple of insiders. Apparently, the 49ers were actually the ones that ended up playing hardball with Brandon Ayuk. They had put an offer on the table back in early August. And they said, here's the deal we want to offer you. You can take it or leave it. And Ayuk said, yeah, it's not what I want. So the 49ers said, we're going to go find somewhere to trade you. We're going to find something to do. They had a deal working with the Patriots, a deal working with the Steelers. There were rumors that Ayuk was unhappy with the Patriots trade, was maybe listening. Then the Patriots, well, according to reports, apparently the 49ers were willing to let Ayuk kind of pick the spot he wanted to go to some degree, but not solely. Apparently they came to him about a week before preseason was over and said, at the beginning of a practice day, here's the deal, Brandon Ayuk. We got a trade offer on the table. One of two things is going to happen at the conclusion of practice today. Either A, you're going to sign the deal that we have on the table, or B, you're not going to sign the deal we have on the table and we're going to trade you. And it's kind of going to be what it is. And effectively played hardball with Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk signed the deal. Either way, however it worked out, Brandon Ayuk did not play in the preseason. And Peyton Manning, when Ayuk dropped what should have been a touchdown pass that maybe would have ended the game earlier than it was for the San Francisco 49ers, Pepe popped off.
Like it. Man to man. Jennings. Oh, what a throw. Ayuk, he's a little rusty, Pate. You know, he's missed all training camp. Hey, get signed, get in training camp. There's a reason for training camp when you need it. We need the reps.
Oh.
Get those contracts done earlier so we can get in training camp. We don't drop balls on opening night.
Right, it's probably one thing catching passes, running routes. All of a sudden, you're laying out for a pass, full speed, diving. That's why. Yeah, those happen in camp. You make those, you practice those. That's just a little rusty right there.
You're still catching balls at a high school field from some quarterback that's 45 years old, my age. You're not catching balls from your quarterback. Get signed, get in camp, and we don't drop the ball.
We don't drop the ball. Get signed, get in camp. We don't drop the ball.
Well, Aaron Rodgers not that far away from 45. I don't know if I'd have said that part, but you know.
As somebody who is 6 months from 40, and yesterday sat up in a chair and my back made a noise so loud that Lonzo went, "Oh, that didn't sound good," from the other side of the room. I get what he's saying here. But yeah, see, this is why, to extrapolate over to the Carolina Panthers, this is why I said I'm not writing this team off, because offense is about timing and rhythm and precision, and you can't practice. I mean, you can practice it, but you cannot get it right at NFL speed against NFL defenses unless you are playing NFL speed against NFL defenses. Okay, you just can't do it. And I know we hammered it out with Rashad Beard about how they didn't really play in week 2 against the Jets because they had the 11-on-11 first team controlled scrimmage. And I get that. I understand that. I even leaned into a little bit when that happened. Okay, that's fine. But a controlled scrimmage is still a controlled scrimmage, right? When you run a play and then both coaches call their teams back, and both coaches are over there going, okay, well, you ran the wheel route, and I need you to run an out, a dart, and offensive line, left tackle over here. You came down, but what I need you to do is I need you to chip down, but keep that left hand out to push the end out too. Like when you're coaching it up, that ain't how game day works, man. That's not how it works in a game. It is finish that play, in the huddle, run the next play. It's a different speed that even a controlled scrimmage can't simulate. So when Dave Canales trouts at his offense in its entirety, all starting 11, for the very first time in week 1, yeah, it makes sense that they're not on the same page. That is a catch that, and I believe this, that's a catch that Brandon Ayuk in week 7 makes 90% of the time. And maybe it was just that 1 out of 10 catches. Maybe if Brandon Ayuk had gone all preseason, he still drops that ball. But realistically speaking, that's a catch that he makes way more often than he doesn't. And I wonder if being in preseason and getting those reps and getting a couple of those full extension footballs in practice would have cleaned that up. This is why I said I am not writing off Carolina after one game. And those of you that texted the show yesterday and called the show yesterday and went off on, oh, that's it, doom and gloom, it's cataclysmic, and we're laying down the philosophy, the prognostication that the Panthers are the second 0-for team in history. I hope in week 8 you got to eat a little bit of crow. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and win 12 games. I'm saying the projection was 5.5, and I think the over. But preseason matters, and even Peyton Manning's trying to tell you about it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, got another live. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Motorcycle chariot racing.
I don't know if it's real, but it looks cool.
It's all over YouTube.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
And I will let you know. I'd buy tickets in a heartbeat to go watch this.
So you wouldn't want to participate?
Nope.
As a motorcycle guy?
Nope.
Also looks kind of expensive. I mean,
oh, no doubt.
2 motorcycles strapped to the thing. And, yeah. And how fast are they really going?
I couldn't get a gauge on it.
Is a wreck death? That's the question.
Instant.
Well,
is this Ben-Hur?
I mean, if you're going that fast, and I couldn't tell how safe the chariot was, but it didn't seem to be safe. I'm sure back in the day when you lost your chariot, you probably lost your life. Because if you're thrown, then you might be trampled if you survive the fall. Did you see the Derek Brown thing?
I did. We're coming to that.
He can't do that. He has a nationally syndicated show that he has to be at.
Are you going to game this week? Probably not, though I will say, in fact, no, I can say no because I'm off the next 2 Saturdays in a row for the wedding. And then I may be off the Saturday after that, which would be effectively a month straight that I'm not on the show. So as much as I would like to, and now I may go over for the game if I'm assuming a night game. I may go over for a night game.
It's a noon game.
Is it?
Yes.
Then I will not be there. The Rob Brown Show wrapping up hour number 1. Rob the Great Milonzo with you on a Tuesday morning. Bryce Young spoke out yesterday about the Week 1 loss, 47-10 at the hands of the New Orleans Saints. Worst defeat of any team in the National Football League. And, we say that. I thought about this yesterday because we talked about this. Did the Saints have the worst, did the Panthers have the worst Week 1 of anybody in the NFL? And I'm certainly not going to say no, they did not. I am going to say I think the Bengals are in that conversation, to be honest. I think the Bengals loss to the Patriots is to me, it's as embarrassing as what happened to the Panthers. That doesn't take the shine or whatever the opposite of the shine is off of the Panthers, but it was pretty bad for Cincinnati.
I don't know. The Bears win was pretty embarrassing too.
0 offensive touchdowns. They did win the game, but 0 offensive. I think the Bears offense, maybe not the team, but because the special teams and defense had a day against Will Levis and the Titans. I think the Bears offense is up there, but as a team, I think it's the Bengals and the Panthers with the worst week 1. We'll do some winners and losers later. But Bryce Young spoke out about this, did a little presser yesterday, as did Dave Canales. Young noted in the presser that, quote, of course you want to come out and start on a high note. That didn't happen. We're going to wear that. We're going to learn from it when we turn on the film. But that doesn't define us. It's a long year, and we have to attack it with urgency and make sure that we're urgent about cleaning things up and fix what we've got to fix. We've got to turn the page. Again, it's a tough league. Would have been great to win a game. Obviously, the goal is to win every one. It wasn't the case, so that's how it is. We've got to turn the page and focus on next week. Young was asked if it potentially helps that it's just week 1 and that the team can flush what happened to start the year and improve. Young said, quote, I think we don't have a chance. Again, we've got to get ready for next week. You dwell on it for too long or let it affect you. Obviously, that's something we can't do. In this league, you don't have a choice. We have to let it be what it is. Again, it's fresh right now, so you feel the emotions more, but you've got to be able to move on. Wonderful, cliche-ridden take from BY, okay? I'm going to tell you straight up. And you guys know that there's not much that I love more than diving into the words that players and coaches use, diving into how people say things, when people say things, why people say things, and picking them apart like a Thanksgiving turkey. There's not much I love more than doing that. And then there's other times that I'm going to say, I don't really care what you have to say right now. I don't, right? I don't care what you have to say. I only care about what you do. I don't care about your words. I care about your actions. I'm everybody's best friend. Rob's the guy you can fire off a text to at 2:30 in the morning because you just had a fight with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your fiance, your husband, wife, whatever. You'd be like, Rob Brown, I just had this happen. What do you think I should do? And while I never listen to my own advice because I'm a big dumb idiot, I give pretty good advice, all right? That's been the legacy of one Rob Brown. I just give pretty good advice. And one of my favorite pieces of advice that I have given to many, many people over the years is ignore everything they say. Tell me what they do, right? Don't tell me what they say. Don't text me at 3:30 in the morning and say, "Oh, I don't know where my lover was, but they just turned up at 3:45 in the morning and said their phone battery died." Don't tell me what they said. Tell me what they do. Show me what they do, right? Actions are what I gauge you by, not words. Now, if you're doing all the right actions, then your words go miles. But if your words are all you're leaning on and you're not getting it done, you're not doing the right thing, then what you say doesn't matter. And that's kind of the spot that I'm in here. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I don't give a damn what Dave Canales says this week. I do not care what Bryce Young says. I don't care. And this is a sentence I've never said before, and I'll never say again. I do not care what
that'll be great, man.
Xavier Legette has to say. I mean, I do if he's going to be funny again, but not the point. Now's not the time, Xavier. Now's not the time. Okay? It's just not. I only care about what I see in week 2. And nothing else. The question mark I have here is what fixes do we see in week 2? There's a lot that went wrong. And if we're keeping it 100, as the kids say, there's a lot that went wrong for Bryce Young. My man threw a pick on a bad pick. Not like Zoe can tell you, he gets frustrated with this sometimes. When I give you a reason that a throw was bad. We had a whole promo that ran last year because BY sailed a guy on the sideline. And I was like, that has nothing to do with his height or his throw and everything to do with the positioning of the receiver on the route he was supposed to run versus what he did. Again, it's not excuse. I'll give you one. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in that opener against the Chiefs. Everybody's been banging the drum on Lamar because he missed Zay Flowers in the back of the end zone on what would have been at least I don't want to say game tying because they were going to go for 2, but a touchdown that would have given him the opportunity to go for 2 and win, kick the XP and tie, or miss the 2 and lose, but gave him a chance. And I pointed out that if you really want to dive into the football philosophy, as bad of a throw as that was for Lamar, and as much as he has to make that throw, it's half on the receiver too, because the receiver in that spot has to sit down. You've got a hole, sit in it. Don't run across it. If you run across the hole, you're running into coverage. Don't run into coverage. Find where the coverage is and wait and let Lamar hit you. Had Zay Flowers done what he was supposed to do and sat in that hole, that ball would have hit him in the face mask. Lamar would have stuck that thing between the crossbars on the face mask, and he'd have caught it with his face, and it'd have been a tutty. But he kept running. He ran through the open hole and into coverage. I will make excuses. Scratch that. I don't make excuses. I give reasons. All right? Sometimes things look ugly, but there's a good reason for it. I don't have any reasons that the 2 picks that Bryce Young threw were thrown. None. He just missed guys. He missed Thielen on the little diagonal out, and I don't even know who was the first one, too. Do you even remember? I don't even remember who the first one was to. Was it to the tight end, I think? I don't know. Doesn't matter. I think it was JT Sanders, but I don't know. Point is, that's how bad it was. There's no excuses there. So, Bryce Young's saying all the right things, right? These are all the things you say after you take a bad and ugly loss. These are all the right things. And I don't care about any of them. What I care about is, does this team come out now that they've got a game under the belt? Now that they've played full-speed football? Now that they've played full-speed football on the road, in a divisional game, in a hostile environment, now that they've got game speed under their belt, all these things done, does that crap stop? Do we see cohesion? Do we see chemistry? Do we see wide receivers and quarterbacks on the same page? Do we see offensive linemen doing a better job at picking up the blitz? That was one of my in-game takeaways. I didn't really tweet a lot during the game Sunday, right? Because I was kind of dialed in because it was a big game, and I wanted to be able to watch film while I watched the game. So I didn't tweet a lot. But one of the few things that I did tweet was, if Carolina doesn't do a better job picking up the blitz, you'll never know if Bryce Young's good or not. I am fine with saying one more time, and many of you are going to disagree, and that's okay. That's why we do radio. I still don't think we know what Bryce Young is. It's one game. It's one game in the first year with any level of stability around that program. It's one game. I don't think we can know what Bryce Young is yet. I think we can know what he's not. He ain't C.J. Stroud. He ain't Anthony Richardson. But as I said with those 2 guys when they came out, the ceiling is higher earlier for C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson. It's a higher ceiling earlier because their game is much more predicated on physical talent, running the football, being physical with the football. Bryce Young's is not. Bryce Young's game is predicated on see defense, read defense, execute against defense. His offense is more Drew Brees, less Lamar Jackson. C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson, much more. Now, they're also doing wonderful things throwing the football, and I'm going to give them credit for it. And yes, today, Bryce Young looks like the bust when C.J. Stroud's out there, and by the way, in a battle with Anthony Richardson in week 1. But I am going to say it's week 1 with a new head coach and play caller, with an entirely new offensive line, with an entirely new wide receiver core. Yeah, I know some of these guys were on the same team last year, but when it comes to the offensive line, for instance, you got 2 new ones in the middle, 1 that moved position. 3 out of your 5 are brand new, which means that the other 2 are working with guys next to them that they haven't worked with before. Your wide receiver core. Yes, I know that Adam Thielen and John Mingo were there last year, but Thielen was the 1. He's now the 3. Mingo was the 4. He's now the 2. Deontay wasn't on the team. He's now the 1. Xavier Legette wasn't on the team. He's now the 4. Brand new wide receiver core. All these things matter, and all these things have to have the kinks worked out. Again, how many teams have as much newness to them around the NFL as the Carolina Panthers do? I can't think of one. The Chargers got a new head coach, sure. The team chemistry is basically built the same with the exception of the new draft picks, right? The Falcons, new head coach, new quarterback, same wide receiver core, same running back, same offensive line, same defense with a couple of additions in Judon and Simmons. Everything else is the same. All the teams that are new and improved this year, none of them are as new and improved as the Carolina Panthers. It will take time to gel. I said that coming into the year. The expectation should not be domination out of the gate. It's going to take time to settle, take time to gel. That being said, I appreciate BY. He's saying all the right things, sounds like a leader. That's all well and good. I don't care. I care about one thing. Do you look in week 2 like there is cohesion and chemistry that is going to help you be a better football team? Because you got the Chargers. All they're going to do is run. You're going to get opportunities. But if you can't do anything with them, I might give up after week 2. We'll find out. Now, the Jim Hart, no, I'm not going to do that to him. I'm not going to do that to him. I'm a better man than that. The Lonzo of Sports Flash is Lonzo with a Sports Flash.
Aaron Rodgers returns to the New York Jets. Starting quarterback role was spoiled by the San Francisco 49ers, who handed the Jets a 32-19 loss to enter the season. Despite the 49ers declaring Christian McCaffrey unavailable just minutes before the contest started, Rodgers went 13-21 for 167 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Jordan Mason, who filled in for McCaffrey, had 28 carries for 147 yards and 1 touchdown. Former Clemson Tiger and current Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is facing new accusations of sexual assault dating back to 2020 when he was a member of the Houston Texans. Insiders say the Browns may be able to void Watson's contract if the allegations were known but undisclosed at the time of his signing. Tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Stetson Hatters. Yes, that's their name. It's Furman versus Stetson right here on your home for Paladins football, The Fan, Upstate.
All right. That one.
You work it out with yourself.
See, No. I'm negotiating with myself, and I'm a tough negotiator. I'm really bad at. Are you good at haggling?
No.
You let Miss Lisa do it, don't you? Yeah, I think you've told me that before. I'm real bad at haggling. We went to the Dominican 2 years ago, and we went to one of the little, they do like the little native markets where you go and you buy stuff from people that live there, and it's all trinkets and knickknacks. It's worthless crap, but you want to bring stuff back.
You mean like on Indiana Jones?
Yes. So we went there, and like you haggle with the people over what you're going to pay for stuff. And the thing is, the stuff's only worth whatever it's worth to you. But the people there have a really good, they do it every day. They know what they're doing. So when we went, I'd pick something up and they'd be like, oh, $10. And the point is, you want to work them down to like $5. And I'd just go, okay. And Courtney's like, you have to stop. You don't have to pay that. You can talk them down to $5. So it got to the point that I would just be like, I want that. And she would go get it because I can't do it. When I was buying my car, when I was negotiating buying my car, I was sick about the negotiating process. Sick.
Have fun with that, Jacob. Don't take any leg whips. New Life first break.
10-4. New Life in the first break. And away we go into our numero dos. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Great to have you. Welcome in. Rob, the great one, Alonzo. On a lovely upstate Tuesday morning, sun beginning to rise over the southern tips of the Blue Ridge Mountains. We got a lot of sports to get to. We got NFL football from last night. Monday Night Football's back, baby. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it tremendously. You know who else enjoyed it tremendously? How much Jason Kelsey did you get to see last night? Great one, Lonzo.
Some. Apparently he lost his shirt and had to wear a different shirt. And also he's a little awkward compared to the other guys.
Super Bowl champion and Emmy Award winner. It's Ryan Clark. A first-round draft pick from the Dallas Cowboys, and a national champ at LSU, Marcus Spears. And I'm just Scott Van Pelt. I have no accolades of any kind, but collectively we are thrilled to welcome in a six-time first-team All-NFL selection. A Super Bowl champion. Six times. Future gold jacket wearer. He got a podcast that apparently is doing fairly well. And all that said, Jason Kelsey is wearing a shirt he got at the mall because he left his travel bag in the truck. Left the bag in the truck.
Fits my belly now. I've lost a little bit of weight, but my is still struggling.
Hey, the fact that a Hall of Fame center can shop at Lululemon, that's big, man. That's a big accomplishment. That's true.
So,
yeah, he has the same problem I do. Yeah, he does.
First off, I just made the assumption you can't say that word on the radio. All right. I actually think you can, but like it's probably one of those lines that's like right on the ledge.
I would have dumped it.
I assumed you would have. But Jason, you can say man boobs. I think you can get away with that.
Yes, you absolutely can.
Yeah, I can get away with man boobs. So Jason Kelsey forgot his travel bag on his way to his first national broadcast on the Monday Night Football Countdown show.
He also loses his Super Bowl ring. It's actually lost it completely.
It's like a whole gimmick for him, right?
It's not a gimmick. I think he just loses stuff.
I mean, yeah. The point here is I have made the argument.
You can't criticize about memory.
No. Listen, I'm giving him credit here. The point here is I've made the argument. To me, Jason Kelce is the superior Kelce. All right, not in terms of football, although you could argue he's a probably top 3 all-time center. But Jason Kelce is the superior Kelce, and part of the reason I say that is because while I've made the argument, the reason I like Travis is because Travis is who Rob Brown would be if Rob Brown had unlimited money and talent and charm and looks and success and all those things, whatever. But like the more I listen and pay attention, the more I have to, no, I'm Jason, all right? Like I see myself in Jason because as Lonzo pointed out for the world to hear, I forget all the things all the time. It's just, I remembered to wear my watch today, and I can't tell you how proud I was that I remembered to wear a watch today. I forgot to set it to the proper time, which is why it says it's 3:18 in the afternoon. It's not, but I did remember to put it on. I just have forgotten at every opportunity this morning to reset it. All right. I have spent, I can't tell you how much time, Lonzo, drawing up a checklist of everything I have to remember. We leave a week from tomorrow to go to St. Augustine for the wedding, right? A week from tomorrow, I'm gone. A week from today will be the last show that I'm on until effectively October. And so I have spent every day feverishly going down and creating a checklist of what to remember to bring. Because I'm 100% the dude that we would get down there and they would go, Rob, where's the rings to give your ring bearer? And I would go, oh, no. Or, hey, Rob, where's your suit? It's time to get ready. Uh-oh, it's hanging in the closet in Greenville, South Carolina. We'll never make it. I'm 100% that guy. So as much as I'd like to say, yeah, I'm Travis, you know, I'd go get in a relationship with Tay-Tay and I'd be out there partying and I'd be crushing natties on my pod and all that. No, man, Jason Kelce's the superior Kelce. And the fact that my man had to run down to, and I'm going to trust that Marcus Spears was telling us the truth, and my dude actually had to go to Lululemon to pick up a dress shirt, but he said...
I don't think Marcus Spears is the one who said that.
Oh, Ryan Clark said it?
Yeah.
Whoever took him down.
Proof of his memory right there.
Exactly. Whoever took him down, I'm good with it. But the fact that he said, you know, and again, also reflective of me right now. You know, my bellies look good. I've dropped a little weight, but my still don't fit in the shirt. My man boobs are, because he sat back and those two top buttons between the man boobs fighting for their lives on national broadcast television. And Jason, I want you to know, I felt that struggle in my soul. I've been there. I've done that, bud.
You didn't see his Chunky Soup commercial. He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care at all.
The Chunky Soup commercial is amazing. You haven't seen it. You need to watch it during the break. And your love of this man will
escalate even more.
Into the atmosphere.
I remember the one from last year with him and Travis both, where they were discussing Super Bowl wins.
I am not. This is him solo, and I am not going to describe it at all because I don't want to take anything away from the experience.
I'm here for it.
And don't anybody out there spoil him.
I'll go watch it during the break. But before the break, segue. Because Texter said, my best man bought a sport coat the night before the wedding because he's the most unprepared person ever. That's from Cornchip. Cornchip, I can't tell you, that's my greatest fear right now, active today. My greatest fear is we're going to get down there. It's going to be Saturday morning. We're going to have the ceremony hours away, and I'm going to realize what I forgot. I have a checklist that is like 70 items long on the tablet of truth that on Wednesday morning, because I'm getting up Wednesday at the regular time. We want to be on the road by noon. So I'm getting up at like 5 a.m. to give myself 7 hours to run through everything. Do you have the suit? Do you have the Jordans? Do you have your dress shoes? Do you have your socks? Do you have the shaving kit? Got to shave. Got to get the fresh shave that morning. Do you have the hair product. These are all things I will forget. And then I would get down there and they'd go, where's your suit? Uh-oh. So Corn Chip, I understand. I get it. I feel your boy's pain, all right? I also feel like it's time for me to shut the hell up and do the water cooler cheat sheet.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
just let it go, bro!
Before they take their first bathroom break.
No. Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this morning. Let us dive right in with item number 1. Atlanta Braves drop a 1-0 decision against the Cincinnati Reds. This is a make-up game. The Bravos were supposed to have the day off, but as there are now less than 20 games remaining in the season, rain games are being made up wherever they fit in. 1-0, the Bravos lose. A decent night from Charlie Morton, but he got tagged with the L, his 8th of the year, 6.2 innings pitched, gave up 6 hits, only 1 run, but that run was the only run scored in the game. Walked 2, K'd 7 through 6.2 on 100 pitches, but ended up having to take the L because nobody else could. Here's the problem. It wasn't Charlie Morton. It was the fact that the Braves had 2 hits and a walk. 2 hits and 1 walk. The Braves put out of all the batters. Now, I'm bad at math, but there's 9 innings. There's 3 outs per inning. That means you are guaranteed 27 at-bats. The Braves got 3 men on base. Matt Olson twice and 1 walk taken by Marcell Ozuna, and that's it. Harris 0 for 4, Soler 0 for 4, Ozuna 0 for 3, Olson 2 for 3, Murphy 0 for 3, Kelenic 0 for 3, Urshela 0 for 3, Arcia 0 for 3, and Williams 0 for 3. The Braves can't get out of their own way, and again, I'm willing to give you, it's because of the injuries. It's because of the injuries that the Braves have suffered, but the reality is this is going to go down as one of the most disappointing seasons of all time. The Braves with an over win total projected 101.5. They are 78-66. That's not the worst part. The reason this is a cheat sheet item is because with a Mets win over Toronto last night, the Atlanta Braves are now currently out of the wild card position. We are inside of 20 games left to go. The Braves are they have a doubleheader against, not a doubleheader, they have a 2-game set against the Nationals that starts tonight, and then a 4-gamer against the Dodgers. The Braves are a full game behind the New York Mets, both in the NL East, which doesn't matter anymore. More importantly, in the wild card race. 1 game behind the Mets, 2 games behind the Diamondbacks, 2.5 back of the Padres. So the Braves, they've got to take both against the Nats. It's not an option. They've got to take both against the Nats. The Mets continue their series with the woeful Blue Jays today. If the Braves want to, at this point, it's not about winning the division. At this point, it's not about getting higher up into the wild card. At this point, it's just about making the damn wild card, and they may not. The Bravos find themselves outside of the playoffs, looking in, a game behind the Mets. Let's get to item number 2. Monday Night Football last night, 32-19. The San Francisco 49ers spoil the return of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers 13 of 21 for $167, a tutty, and a pick, and a 51.1 QBR yesterday evening. It was not the return that Aaron Rodgers wanted. By the way, have you seen, Zoe, this shocked me. The New York Jets, since 2021, have the lowest winning percentage in primetime football alongside the Arizona Cardinals. Both of those teams, I don't remember the exact numbers. I saw this last night. I believe the Jets are 1-7 and the Cardinals are 2-10 in prime time since 2021. Aaron Rodgers has an atrocious number in terms of record on Monday Night Football, and that continued last night. Brock Purdy, 19 of 29, 231, no touchdowns, no interceptions. The game was determined on the ground for both teams last night. Tyrod Taylor did have a touchdown, by the way, 6 of 8 for 36 and 1 through the air, but it was a garbage time touchdown for the 49ers. 68 rushing yards for the New York Jets.
By the way, looks like 5 more primetime games for the Jets this year.
That's bad because they stink in primetime. Aaron Rodgers stinks. Forget what he has done, what he can do. He just statistically, objectively stinks in primetime, and they've got 5 more of them. Yowza. 68 rushing yards for the Jets, 54 of them from Breece Hall on 16 carries. It was Jordan Mason, the 4th-year veteran and undrafted player out of Georgia Tech, who carried quite literally the night. 28 totes, a $147 and a touchdown. Debo had 23 on 8 carries for 1 touchdown as well, and that was effectively the game last night. The first Monday night contest of the year goes to the 49ers of San Francisco. We stay in the NFL for item number 3. We talked about the Carolina Panthers back in segment 2 of our number 1. We do it again here, and unfortunately, it's just as bad. Coming off of that blowout loss at the hands of the divisional rival New Orleans Saints, now maybe the best player on defense, potentially out for the year. Tom Pelissero of NFL Media reported yesterday that defensive tackle Derek Brown suffered a meniscus injury. How bad of a meniscus injury? We are waiting to find out. They are going to go in and scope it. They will not know the timetable for return until they are in there taking an eyes-on approach. The procedure will determine Brown's recovery timeline. Could be anything from 4 to 6 weeks to missing the entire season. Brown has been a Panther since he was a first-round pick back in 2020, has started every game in each of the last 2 seasons, 103 tackles last year with 7 for a loss, 15 QB hits, and a pair of sacks, earned his first Pro Bowl berth in 2023, signed a 4-year contract extension in April, and now one of the few bright spots on a bad Panther defense may be out for the year. The hits, they keep a-coming for the Carolina Panthers. We will hopefully get an update on Derek Brown later today. Zoe, I am going to say the good news is the defense stinks whether he's on it or not. The bad news is in a division where first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Carr resides, apparently NFL quarterbacking icon Baker Mayfield resides. And while he had a crap game 1, we'll see if that last Kirk Cousins / Michael Penix Jr. resides. That's kind of the spot you need to have a dude. And the Panthers may be without their dude for the rest of the year. We will get an update on Derek Brown, I hope, later on in the day. But that is that's a significant loss for this team. Significant loss for the Carolina Panthers. We'll address what that means for the defense later on in the year. When we come back here in just a moment from right now. Yesterday, we are going to take a break from the sports for just a minute. Yesterday, America lost an icon. America lost an icon. I don't care if you grew up in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Yesterday, we all lost someone who shaped our childhoods. Don't care how old you are. And we're going to talk about that and that individual when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there, please, and thank you. Morning, Wesley. Welcome in, big fella. Good to have you, brother. Zach, what's up? What's the World Series matchups? I hate to go chalk. It's the Dodgers versus the winner of the AL East. I don't like going chalk. I don't want to go chalk. I have to go chalk. It's boring. I don't like it. But I don't know what else to do. Stroud also has 3 number 1 receivers. I want to tell you. I mean, you added Deontay. Again, not a true number 1, but better than what you had last year. Take on me. Is that the hardest high note in music to hit?
Right, Carey.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Or Lulu, I forget her last name, the song Loving You.
That's a real good call.
Did you watch the Jason Kelsey commercial?
Oh, no, crap. I forgot to. Do I have time?
You got 30 seconds. You only need like the first 10. Bourbon and Bacon Fest next break.
There's the Wings commercial, Sunday Ticket commercial. He's got a lot of commercials. Vince Wilfork commercial for Kingsford. There it is. Of course, a 5-second ad.
It's a long
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Great to have you, folks. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, with you. There are celebrities who they're special. They're just special, and it takes a lot, I think. To reach that echelon. There are also celebrities who reach, to me, a very special echelon. And that echelon is the folks who make it to a level that I'm genuinely sad when they are no longer with us. James Earl Jones reached that upper echelon. I think it is fair to say that this guy was one of the most dynamic, powerful, and influential voices, and I think it's fair to say voices of all time. James Earl Jones, of course, the voice of Darth Vader, but so much more. The voice of Mufasa from The Lion King, which The Lion King was one of those movies that dropped when Rob Brown was kind of in that age range. And Mufasa was incredibly influential, both because, again, and I will acknowledge that, I was very fortunate. Not everyone can say this. I was very fortunate to have a phenomenal dad. But even when you have a phenomenal dad, you still have outside influences. And there are very few that I put in. Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on this list. Carl from Family Matters on that list of media dads or father figures that kind of help raise a generation. As far as cartoons go, Mufasa was one of them, right? The way he tried to teach Simba, a young Simba, life lessons, but also allow him to be himself was incredibly important. And I don't want to spoiler alert a movie that came out in 1990, whatever. But when Mufasa was straight up murdered, by the way, maybe the first murder that I ever encountered in media, right? When he was murdered, it was like, oh no. But Mufasa wouldn't have been Mufasa with anybody's voice except James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones was also in a baseball movie. Now, you know me, I'm a baseball guy. All right. I grew up on baseball. I am when it comes to baseball, I am a hopeless romantic. A hopeless romantic. And Terrence Mann from Field of Dreams was an incredibly important character for me. Field of Dreams was an incredibly important movie for me. And I know a lot of baseball guys, Cody Decker's like this, can't stand that movie. I can't. I love it. I love it because it is a love story to baseball and life. I'm going to play a clip here from that movie. James Earl Jones, we can talk about Darth Vader, who has been haunting since the 70s. Darth Vader, by the way, a character that is still showing up in Star Wars projects and still terrifying people. My little nephew, who is coming up on 6, terrified of Darth Vader, fascinated by Darth Vader. I think we all were and are. Is Darth Vader without the voice of James Earl Jones? No, I can prove it to you. Go to YouTube and go find, there's footage out there. It actually came up on my timeline yesterday. Zoe, you ever see the footage of Darth Vader before they dubbed James Earl Jones' voice over him?
David Prowse?
I believe that is correct.
Is his name? Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of it.
He's like hearing Darth Vader with just a dude's voice. Hey, Star Wars wouldn't have succeeded. James Earl Jones made it work. But when it comes to being that impactful of a voice, James Earl Jones was that guy. Here is a clip from Field of Dreams, a love letter to baseball from those of us that are hopeless romantics about the sport. God, dude, look at this. Freaking chill bumps, man. It's incredible. And that, to me, of everything James Earl Jones did and all the great characters he played. Somebody texted, remember he was in The Sandlot as well. Absolutely. Played Mr. Myrtle in The Sandlot. Owned the Beast. Of course I remember The Sandlot. Another great movie. Betty the Jet Rodriguez and his PF Flyers. But as a baseball guy, as a sports guy, the last 45 seconds of that clip are everything, right? America has been built up and torn back down. It's been raised and reconstructed like a blackboard. It's been wiped off and written again. And through it all has been baseball. And the game stands through all its changes and all the history To me, baseball is great, not just because it's an incredible sport, but baseball is great because it is a testament to what this country is, can be, should be. It is a game that is not without its black marks in history, for sure. It is a game that has had controversy. It is a game that has conspiracy. It is a game that has history we'd love to forget about. It's also a game that has provided us with memories we'll never forget. I will never forget sitting in the Shalimar Diner when the Atlanta Braves lost to the Minnesota Twins in the World Series. I'll never forget sitting in the same diner when the Braves won their World Series in the 90s. I will never forget sitting with my father and watching the Braves play. Shalimar Diner was this old 50s-style diner. It was the first place I'd ever been that they had a TV in the booth. The TV was maybe 9 inches by 9 inches, but you could put it on whatever channel you wanted to. And you sat in that booth and we watched baseball. And my old man took me up there. I have to, in retrospect, imagine because he knew the Braves were losing the World Series last night. So instead of sitting at the house watching it, he took me up there so I could have a big, fat Shalimar Diner chocolate milkshake to wash down the pain. And that was a night that to this day I remember because my old man had to teach me the lesson that sometimes you lose. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes you get your hopes up and you get your expectations up and you lose. Baseball means everything to, I'm not saying to everybody, maybe it's not the sport you grew up with around, but baseball means something to a huge chunk of us. And I'm one of those people. And James Earl Jones in that movie personified that. In that clip personified that. In that moment personified that. When he said at the end of the day, you will, based on baseball, have memories so thick that you'll feel like you have to swat them away from your face. That's real. I have baseball memories with my grandfather. I have baseball memories with my dad. I have baseball memories with my little brother. I'll be making baseball memories with my little nephew and all my family and friends. Baseball surrounds all of that. And James Earl Jones in that movie nailed it. Nailed it. And then you add on the fact that Lonzo and I were dorks. We got Star Wars stuff scattered across the Fortress of Nerditude. Why? Because Darth Vader was one of the most menacing bad guys of all time and would not have been without James Earl Jones. Mufasa would not have, it was an incredibly impactful character for people that are my age. Would not have been without James Earl Jones. Man was a legend. Man was an icon. Maybe the most dynamic, powerful, influential voice in the history of movies. R.I.P. to a legend. James Earl Jones. We'll see you on the other side. Hey, guess what we got coming up here in just a minute? Something we ain't done in a while.
That is not real.
Handing out some awards on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Urban.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me. eggs and football. What was that?
Your boy in Nebraska.
Oh, Matt Rule? Do you know ever seen the Roosevelt's shirts? It's a company that makes button-up, short-sleeve, collared dress shirts, but they do like old cartoon themes and stuff, and they're really loud and over the top. They do wrestling. They just rolled out a series of Roosevelt shirts from Batman the Animated Series, and I'm gonna spend money.
Actually, yeah, I have seen those. Yeah,
they just rolled out a whole line of Batman the Animated Series, and they're pretty good. There's a lot of them I don't love, but this line's really good.
The anime shop that's no longer there at Broadway at the beach had a bunch of those with the anime stuff. People like me and Jason Kelsey can't wear those shirts.
The man boobs are no joke. It's been a long time coming, but football is back, baby. And you know, on Tuesdays during football season, Lonzo and I hand out some hardware every week. We hand out to an unspecified number of players week by week. A trophy that the great one himself came up with last season. It's called the
That is not real
award. We give it out to players who had special days. Let's run through some of them that had big days this weekend. I'm not ordinarily going to hand one out to players that have big days against FCS squads, but I will to Georgia's Carson Beck, 18 of 25, 242. Most importantly, 5 touchdowns through the air. Carson Beck leads the Bulldogs to a 48-3 shellacking of the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles before they begin SEC play. Carson Beck
is not real.
Is not real. Let's go to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Who else but Quinshon Judkins? Just 9 carries, but in 9 carries, racked up 108 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. We all had eyes on Travion Henderson, and I think Fairkid's going to be a stud, but the young man who transferred up from Ole Miss, Quinshawn Judkins,
That is not real.
that kid's going to be a stud for you guys, Lonzo. A freaking stud for you.
That's what we do.
Can't hate on that. Hey, how about this young man? A guy that went up to the big house in Michigan, hostile environment against a team that's not as good, but Quinn Ewers, 24 of 36 and 3 touchdowns through the air. I'd say it's borderline, but when you go up to Ann Arbor and you do it in a top 10 game, you put up 3 tutties through the air. Quinn Ewers
That is not real.
is not real. How about the University of Alabama? The final score was 42-16. The game was not anywhere near that dramatic. This game, until the fourth quarter, was 14-13 going into the fourth quarter. It was 14-13 with about 7 minutes left to play. Then Alabama put up 28 points in like the last 6 minutes of the game. It is not Jalen Milroe catching a TMF INR. It's Jam Miller. 15 carries, 140 yards, including a number of consequential runs down the stretch that kept Alabama from becoming the most recent victim of an unranked loss at home. 42-16, your final. Jam Miller, 15 carries, $140, and a touchdown on the ground.
That is not real.
Is not real. Northern Illinois. Yeah. 16-14, a walk-off field goal dub. Knocked down over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I can't pick a guy. Do we go with Ethan Hampton, 10 of 19 for $198 and a touch? Do we go with Ontario Brown, 20 carries for 99 yards in this game? Do we go with Ontario Brown, 2 catches, 126? I don't know. I'm handing one for the upset on the road over a top 5 team. Put it on the books. This is, whether you like it or not, as big as Appy State over Michigan. The entire Northern Illinois Husky team.
That is not real.
Get a TMF INR. The Boise State Blue Turf Smurfs, the Broncos, took on the Oregon Ducks, another top 17, and Boise State almost got it done, in part because of Ashton Jeanty. 25 carries, 192 yards. Ashton Jeanty was an absolute stud in this game and nearly single-handedly won this game for the Broncos. They couldn't get it done over the Oregon Ducks, but they scared the daylights out of them. Ashton Jeanty.
That is not real.
Is not real. Cam Ward isn't real either. 20 of 26, 304 and 3 touchdowns before he gave way to Reese Puffenbarger, which is a freaking Harry Potter name, okay? Reese Puffenbarger. Get out of here. That man 100% plays Quidditch on the weekends. That's because he can't start at quarterback because Cam Ward does. 20 of 26, 304, 3 touchdowns.
He doesn't play well either, and he barely gets his broom off the ground.
Doesn't need to. I bet Cam Ward could play that game as well if he wanted to because he's very good. In fact, he's so good.
That is not real.
Cam Ward might be your Heisman winner this year. I know it's very early. There's a lot of football left, but right now he's clearly the front runner. Tennessee, 51-10 winners over the NC State Wolfpack. I want to give it to Nico, but I can't. He threw 2 picks in this game. I can't give it to Dylan Sampson. 20 carries, 132 yards, averaged over 6.5 yards per carry. Oh, yeah, he punched 2 in as the Volunteers dominate the Wolfpack. Dylan Sampson.
That is not real.
For the Tennessee Volunteers. Let's go to the National Football League. Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles. Who else but Saquon Barkley? 24 carries and 109 yards. 2 touchdowns on the ground. Added a pair of grabs for 23 and a touchdown as well. 3 total touchdowns responsible for Saquon Barkley. Over 130 yards responsible for Saquon Barkley in his debut with the Eagles. Saquon Barkley.
That is not real.
Lonzo's not going to like this one. Got to give it to him anyway. 34-28, the Buffalo Bills knock off the Arizona Cardinals, and they do it because of Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 18 of 23, 232, and 2 touchdowns through the air. Also had 39 rushing yards, but a pair of rushing tutties. Josh Allen responsible for 4 touchdowns in a come-from-behind victory over the Arizona Cardinals. No, the Buffalo Bills aren't going to be good this year. Yes, they got to find their way. Keon Coleman did have 4 grabs for 51 yards. Khalil Shakir, 3 for 42 and a touchdown. All of them touched by Josh Allen. Josh Allen, wait for it, Josh Allen.
That is not real.
Is not real. The Patriots' biggest upset of the NFL weekend, 16-10 winners over the Cincinnati Bengals. Why? Because a guy that I badmouthed all off season, my bad, Ramondre Stevenson, 25 carries, 120 yards, averaged 5 yards a carry, had a touch to show for it as well when they couldn't get a passing offense going. Ramondre Stevenson said, I got you, bro.
That is not real.
And the Bengals' biggest upset since 2018 in week 1 football. CJ Stroud, 24 of 32, 234, 2 touchdowns. He ain't the TMFINR award winner. You know who is? Joe Mixon, 30 carries, a $159, and a touchdown. 159 yards rushing in the season debut for the Houston Texans. Stroud was good. He was good. He wasn't great. He was good. Joe Mixon was great. Joe Mixon.
That is not real.
Catches a TMF INR award. Dolphins, Jaguars, the Finns, 2017 winners over the Jags in the Sunshine State Showdown. Tua Tagovailoa, good day, 23 of 37, 338, but he got to 338 because Tyreek Hill had 7 catches for 130 yards and a tutty. And remember, this all came quite literally hours after he was on the ground face down outside of Hard Rock Stadium. Look, you can get into the details about whether you think it was a good detention or not. Either way, dude showed up. Tyreek Hill.
That is not real.
Catches a week 1 TMF INR. New Orleans and Carolina. Look, there's only 200 yards on the book for Derek Carr, but he went 19 of 23 and had 3 touchdowns. He only had 200 yards because he only needed 200 yards in this one. Rashid Shaheed, 3 catches for 73 and a touchdown. That helped out, but I can't give it to anybody else but future first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Carr.
That is not real.
The Chargers with a 22-10 win over the Raiders. Why? Because of a young man by the name of J.K. Dobbins, the former Ohio State Buckeye, who we're going to hear from here in just a few minutes in the audio blitz. J.K. Dobbins, 10 carries, 135 yards, averaged 13.5 yards per carry. Did J.K. Dobbins, scored once as well, lifted the pressure off up of Justin Herbert, made Jim Harbaugh's debut with the Chargers successful. J.K. Dobbins, the former Buckeye.
That is not real.
We move on to Sunday Night Football. The Rams fall to the Detroit Lions 26-20 in overtime. Why? Because of the Alabama Crimson Tider, Jamison Williams, 5 grabs, 121 yards and a touchdown. He made Jared Goff's life easy in this one. Jamo Williams.
That is not real.
And we wrap it up with last night's Monday Night Football contest. There is no one else. This might be the biggest TMFINR of the weekend. No Christian McCaffrey, no freaking problem. Why? Because a 4-year undrafted vet out of the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, Jordan Mason, 28 carries, 147 yards, averaged 5.3 on the ground, scored a touchdown as well. Jordan Mason, welcome to Rob Brown's fantasy team, running up that Taysom Hill. I almost said Tyreek Hill. That's not the right guy. Running up that Taysom Hill. Jordan Mason, you absolute stud. Jordan Mason.
That is not real.
There's your TMF INRs for week 2 of college football, week 1 of the NFL. Do you have a TMF INR nominee? If you do, text them to me, 71307. Start your text with FAN and give me your TMF INR award winner for week 2 of college football, week 1 of the NFL, and we will hand them out. I think Cade Klubnik's got to catch one. I should have put Cade on the list. That's my bad. You know the stats, Cade Klubnik.
That is not real.
You get one. You earned one in the domination of Appalachian State. All right. Who's your TMFINR award winners? Text it to me, 71307. Start your text with fan. Now, a TMFINR. I can do this. It's been a year. All right. Your TMFINR award winner for Sports Flashes, the great one, Lonzo.
Aaron Rodgers returned to the New York Jets. Starting quarterback role was spoiled by the San Francisco 49ers last night, who handed the Jets a 32-19 loss to enter the season, despite the 49ers declaring Christian McCaffrey unavailable just minutes before the contest started. Rodgers won 13 of 21 for 167 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. Jordan Mason, who filled in for McCaffrey, had 28 carries for 147 yards and 1 touchdown. The Atlanta Braves dropped a 1-0 decision in a rain delay makeup game against the Reds yesterday. Atlanta recorded just 2 hits on the night, both by Matt Olson, and reached base only 3 times in total. The loss, combined with the Mets' victory over Toronto, puts the Braves 1 game behind the Mets for the wild card. Tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Greer to take on the Yellow Jackets. It's Burns versus Greer right here on your home for Burns Rebels football, The Fan, Upstate.
I don't even want to tell the story, but I'm going to anyway. Courtney went to see Beetlejuice this weekend with a couple of her friends. And she came out singing Deo and started singing Come Mr. Taliban. And I've never been so quick to correct someone singing the wrong lyrics to the song in my life.
No,
I'm like, I can't have you running around town singing "Come Mr. Taliban."
There was a parody song about that.
Oh, I'm sure there was.
And she probably heard it multiple times.
She thought that was the words. She saw the movie and watched the old one last week to get ready for it and thought the words were "Come Mr. Taliban," but knew "Tally Me Bananas." I was like, why would it not be Tally Man, who then tallies your bananas? Nope. Come Mr. Taliban.
Listen, Mr. doing it in the butt. You probably should not be critical of her over
that. Forgot about that.
New Life, first break.
10-4. And away we go. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and the great one, Lodzo, working the ones and twos on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. Wonderful to have you with us. The Renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone is right there for you. 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. Coming to your audio blitz here in just a minute, where we'll take a look at some of our favorite audio from the last 24 hours. But great when I have to ask you a question. Is there anything in life more terrifying than when you get on social media and you see that one of your players is trending and you don't know why yet? Is there anything that gives you that little heartbeat skip faster than when you pop on and you say, I don't know, see Chris Olave trending at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning?
Yeah, public speaking.
Okay, that's fair. That's more than fair. A very close second is seeing one of your most important players trending on a random Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. That just happened to me. I am very happy to report to all of you Saints fans out there listening that the reason Olave is trending is because somebody put out a compilation package of Olave just blocking his ass off for the Saints, including into the fourth quarter where he threw a key block on the edge to spring Jamal Williams for the last touchdown of the game.
He does come from wide receiver U.
He does.
They teach that there.
They pointed out, there was a tweet that pointed out at one point, great one, there was a wide receiver room at Ohio State that included Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Marvin Harrison Jr. all at the same time. I'm not saying that's the greatest college football wide receiver room of all time, but I'm pretty sure it is. Like, you'd have to reach to find me a wide receiver room better than that one.
I believe the majority of which are doing pretty well in the NFL.
Yeah, I'd say so. Including Jamo Williams, who we just mentioned, granted, finished his time at Alabama, but was a Buckeye there for a minute, who won a TMFINR award this weekend. Don't be shocked if Olave wins one next week. Kubiak's going to spring that guy next week. Book me an Olave anytime tutty coming up next week. All right. Time to go through your audio blitz. Some of our favorite audio that we picked up from social media over the last couple of days. I want to start with Todd Bowles, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles was at the press conference. They asked him about his feeling on NFL Week 1 when he made his way out for the first time, 2024. Todd Bowles, not a super emotional guy, and it was pointed out by a reporter.
You're pretty stoic. Don't show a lot of your emotions. What's the season opener like for you when you walk out of that tunnel?
It's exciting!
You are now on video.
You woke us up.
You always have the butterflies. You always have the butterflies when you go out there. I mean, it's opening day in the NFL. No different than when you were
Listen, I get a little cringe when the media sucks up to a coach, right? I'm not going to lie to you. It bothers me a little bit. I don't care about that because Todd Bowles popped.
I would say, but you're okay with him, with the guy saying you're a little stoic?
He is a little stoic. I think it's.
So you
I
don't
think
point
it's
that out. That's just. I mean, he came at him, and Todd Bowles handled it in a way, which was funny. But if he would have went prime on him, you wouldn't be so happy about it.
Because again, prime's a butthole.
What is stoic, Rob?
What is stoic?
What is stoic?
You know what stoic is.
No, Rob. What is stoic?
Stoic is
stoic. No, Rob. What is stoic?
I'll tell you, Dion.
Why you come to me and say I'm stoic?
I'm going to do
Would you like me to be other than stoic? Would you like me to be other than stoic? Is that what you want? Would that make you, reporter, happy?
You understand that that's answering the question like a jerk versus Todd Bowles, who just was like, okay, I'm going to have some fun with this. There's a difference there.
Yeah, it was a stupid question.
He didn't ask a question. He said, you're stoic.
Okay, all
which
right,
means you do not show a ton of emotion.
It was a stupid description. You don't come at someone and say, hey, you're stoic.
That's not an attack. That's a description.
Is it not an attack?
No, it is absolutely not an attack. I know a lot of my father was a stoic individual. You did not get a lot of emotion out of him until you did. That's not, stoic is not. In fact, if anything, I think for a lot of men, stoic is a compliment. I wish somebody would call me stoic. I'm the opposite of stoic. I don't wear my emotion on a sleeve. My emotion's the whole shirt. All right? I wish I was stoic. I try to be stoic. I fail miserably. Todd Bowles is stoic. And I say that respectfully. He is very stoic. I have got I got another one. South Carolina fans, you broke Kentucky. This is Chris from Kentucky on Lexington Sports Radio responding to the loss of the Wildcats to the Gamecocks.
Happy Monday, Diener.
Yeah, Chris from.
And I mean, that was Bill Curry-esque over there in the Indian burial ground Saturday afternoon. I have never been that embarrassed in at least, a couple of years. I mean, it's Kentucky football, so what is it? You got Fat Boy over there pulling in $750,000 a month. You have compiled in your 11 plus seasons at Kentucky a hefty record of 2-28 against SEC teams that finish with a winning record. And you are still standing over there looking stupid on my sidelines after all this. Not to mention the fact that just a couple of short years ago, you had to vacate the entire season because you had a six-figure no-show thing working for you. I got to tell you, my head is just exploding. I mean, you combine Mitch Barnhart and Fat Stoops, and this is what you get. Diener?
Yeah.
I've always said that going to the Indian Burial Ground is the worst experience anybody could ever endure. But this year, we have managed to step it up. You know, Saturday night we had this lightning thing, so we stood there for 50 minutes. Me and my 80-year-old mother, she's like, "What's going on here?" 15 minutes. They never told us anything, and then all of a sudden, Mitch had this idea: if I can just get up there and start flipping the light switch real quick and watch these lights go off, they might distract these people. Stupid.
You broke them. You broke them, Gamecocks. You broke the entire state of Kentucky. And Chris wasn't the only one.
When he threw the pick six, I just walked out because I was so sick. I was like, I can't believe it. And I left, and all my buddies started messaging me, calling, and they talked me into coming back. And I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drive right through the traffic, people leaving the Louisville game, and just listen to them all celebrating. And every person that made eye contact with me got L's down, and they were all good sports because most of them smiled. I had my Louisville slugger just in case, but that was pathetic.
You sent a Kentucky fan down such a spiral that he drove across town to listen to his rivals celebrate their win because it's the only place he could find joy. Way to go, Gamecocks. You broke a fan base on Saturday. That's beautiful.
So L's down is a thing?
Yeah, because Louisville puts the L's up.
I
so
get it,
L's down.
but had you ever heard of that before?
Yes, but it's also the same as like Texas Tech. They go guns down. Oklahoma State, you go guns down. It's the same as horns down, except Louisville fans aren't sensitive little crybabies.
I know what it is. I mean, I understood from the context, but I just had never heard of it before.
I didn't
It's
know.
not nearly as famous as the horns down.
I agree with that. Hey, Mike Gundy is still Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy was asked about his team blowing it and trying to find ways to lose, specifically his pass defense, who gave up a lot of yards. And a media member asked about it, and Gundy, who is my favorite because he's anti-coach speak, said this.
You're like the guy on A Few Good Men.
When I looked back on it on Sunday, from the sideline, it looked like some of their receivers were just running wide open. But when you go back and look on tape, it wasn't that bad. They guys were in the vicinity, and they made good plays. They had pretty good guys at receiver.
Well, you're a homer is the first part because they were running wide open. You're wanting to make it look better, and honestly, they were running wide open. Now,
I asked for it.
well, it's all right. We're honest here. I mean, there's no reason anybody should come to these press conferences if we're going to each other. So the point being is that they were running wide open. And the good news is this, Robert, is it's fixable. And I know everybody's going, didn't look like it's fixable to me. It is fixable. Okay. So
that's enough. You get the point. Mike Gundy's the best. Mike Gundy's the best. No need for us to bull bleep each other. That just more of that, coaches. Just give me more of that. Give me a coach who goes, yeah, reporter who's here to cover us. You're a homer. We sucked. We were terrible. It is what it is. It is what it is. I like Mike Gundy. They also had to go with a transfer player at starting linebacker. Obi Ezigbo got to start. He is a transfer over from a D2 at FCS school that had to play. Why was he the guy you had to play, Mike Gundy?
What was it about him, and just what did you like about what you saw from McGann and stuff?
do you want me to go back into coach talk, or do you want me to tell you the truth?
The truth.
The truth?
Yes.
He was very inexpensive. The number of players that we go after that were ready to play at this level, we can't afford. So he was a good buy and a really quality young man that had success and has physical characteristics that we can work with Rob Glass and develop him. And so that's why he ended up here, in my opinion.
Mike Gundy said we had to play that guy because that's what we could afford in that spot. That's what we could go with. Now, there's another story connected to that we're going to get to later in the show. Remember, we told you a couple of weeks ago that Oklahoma State came up with the idea of slapping QR codes on the back of their players' helmets that you as a fan could scan when they were on TV and you could donate to the NIL collective. The NCAA said no. The NCAA said you're not allowed to do that. I despise that decision. I think that if you are going to allow NIL, you should allow schools to use any resource at their disposal to earn and grow NIL. And if you're not going to do that, then you gotta start coming up with some rules. Even I will go, you gotta start coming up with some rules. We gave you Carlos with a K earlier this week in our Audio Blitz reacting to Danny Dimes. One of Carlos with a K's coworkers, Sal Licata, works for WFAN in New York. He had some things to say about Danny Dimes. I don't know if this qualifies as an all-time rant, but it made me laugh.
I can't do it anymore. Where you sit there at 1 o'clock, you throw on the game, and watch Daniel Jones attempt to play quarterback. I can't do it anymore. It's year 6. It is year 6. Enough. This is why I hated the pick of Neighbors. It's not Neighbors. They need a quarterback. How many weeks and years do we got to watch Daniel Jones? I'm begging. I can't do it anymore. Daniel Jones. How could you be worse than that? You got significantly outplayed by Sam Darnold. I can't watch him anymore, BT. I'm sorry. I said this before the year. I said it all offseason. This is why I knew it was going to be a problem. I can't watch him attempt to play quarterback. It's impossible to watch.
If you have a friend who is a fan of the New York Giants, check on them. They're not well. And ordinarily, I will acknowledge, as much as I get on Alonzo about it sometimes, even I will acknowledge that in this business, we're entertainers. Sometimes it's a work. Sometimes we go off on tangents we don't really love. Sometimes we express things emotionally we don't really feel, but it's for the sake of entertainment. I watched that clip from Salicata. I went and found the video of it. Dude is red veins popping out of the head. He's not well. Him and Carlos probably starting a support group. J.K. Dobbins is a running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. The head coach of the LA Chargers is Jim Harbaugh. He was formerly the coach of the Michigan Wolverines, famously the rivals of the Ohio State Buckeyes. J.K. Dobbins played for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yesterday, he was on the Pat McAfee show.
He's just a different animal.
He is.
Man, what a weapon. And J.K., it feels like you're all bought in, though, right? I mean, it happens everywhere he goes. When he was at San Fran, obviously, he go to the Super Bowl. He goes to Michigan. They win a national championship. They beat Ohio State 3 straight times, including in Columbus.
Yeah.
In Columbus.
We're not gonna get into that because I love him. That's my coach right now. But as an Ohio State person, I don't think those games will count. But we're not. But look, I love Coach. He is a great coach. He is a winner. But he had a person on the staff that those games might.
Okay. All right. Obviously, the investigation shall continue up there. But
J.K. Dobbins, never graduate. Remember the never graduate ad campaign? I think it was ESPN did it a couple of years back. J.K. Dobbins bringing the best never graduate of this week. No, I'm not giving Jim Harbaugh credit for a damn thing.
He did. He covered himself by not blaming Harbaugh for the cheating and blaming Connor Stein.
I liked it. It's a good way to go, I don't accept those losses, but I'm also not going to get into it with my head coach. I'm not going to do it. All right, that's your audio blitz. When we come back here in just a minute. Great, when you and I have had a conversation about this young man many times. We're both big Scott Hansen guys, right? Scott Hansen does a wonderful job on Red Zone.
It's amazing.
Fantastic.
I don't know how he finds time to be.
I don't either. I don't get it. Scott Hansen does a wonderful job on Red Zone. He did a great job during the Olympics when they did Gold Zone, and he hosted it. Spectacular. Love Scott Hansen. Scott Hansen was forced to apologize for something he did this weekend on Red Zone, and I want you to know, I am rolling up the sleeves. I am planting the Rob Brown Show flag in the ground on top of the hill that is defending Scott Hansen, even against someone else that I love. I'll tell you what I'm talking about when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Good life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. break. We are back. Good morning, gentlemen. Robert, the Panthers screwed because what I saw Sunday was absolutely horrific play. I mean, listen, Zach, as I asked earlier in the show, what were your expectations, right? Like, screwed is something I think in this context you can only be if you had expectations for the team. If your expectations were win 4 or 5 games, no, I don't think you're screwed. I think you'll have to show improvement week by week, but like, isn't that the point? We came into this year expecting week by week expectations. Here's the good news. Nowhere to go but up after this weekend. If you expected to come in and be a 10-win team, I think you had unrealistic expectations. If you came in expected to go 0 for this year, then no, you're not screwed. You're on pace to do exactly what you thought. So there's the only pessimistic way to look at this is there is no way for the Panthers to be good. It's just an impossible thing for this franchise to be good. And I do know a lot of Panther fans feel that way. I'm not there yet.
QC next break.
10-4. The Rob Brown Show carries on. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, the great one, Alonzo, with you here on the show. I want to get to this real quick. I'm a big Scott Hansen guy. Zoe's a big Scott Hansen guy. We love Scott Hansen. The NFL Red Zone is one of, in my opinion, one of the best things happening in sports media. And there's a lot. Inside the NBA on TNT is one of those things. Gold Zone during the Olympics, the spinoff of Red Zone was spectacular. There's a lot of very good things in sports media, just like there's a lot of very bad things in sports media. The Red Zone, one of the best things. And a big part of the reason that Red Zone is great is Scott Hansen. He is, in my opinion, one of the best in terms of his ability to narrate what is happening on multiple fronts across multiple games, but not be too much. To be enough to clue you in, to tell you what you're about, what you're looking at, what you're about to look at, what's coming, what's happened, without taking away from the broadcast as a whole. Scott Hansen was on Red Zone when the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns were playing on Sunday. Of course, that game notable for and only for the debut of Tom Brady as a color guy. Now, opinions vary on Tom Brady. I have seen some people say, oh, I think he did great. He's going to grow into the role. I'm going to tell you, even as a Tom Brady guy, I thought he was boring. I thought he was not good. He was the second worst play-by-play guy on a broadcast. The only guy worse was Colt McCoy during the Nebraska-Colorado game. Did you catch any of that?
No.
Okay, good. Do you remember a couple of years ago on Monday Night Football when they had Sergio Dip do the sideline report and they went down to him for the first time and he was so atrocious in his one spot that they never went back to him during the game? If you remember the call, you remember the call. It'll never leave you. It was bad. Colt McCoy was that bad. Brady was like just behind him in terms of how again, not bad. He wasn't bad. He expressed what but it was boring. There was just very little energy to it. There was a point at the end of the first half where Dallas lined up to kick a 63-yard field goal, would have tied the record for longest regular season field goal. And listen to Brady in the last few seconds of this clip.
Delay game. Aubrey gets into it, whistles on this one. Look at this thing, though. It would have been good. But they blew the whistle. It's a delay a game, I think.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
He had it. That was good.
Had it. I saw the clock running down. I don't know why they didn't call timeout.
The last couple of seconds, they were pretty much a summary of Brady. Like, he was telling you what was happening, but he just, I don't know. He sounded to me, great one, like he was just there. They went to him during the NFL pregame on Fox as well. And Terry and Howie in the game were talking to him. And he was just like, he just sounded like a guy who was doing the first TV spot he'd ever done. It just wasn't great. Well, Scott Hansen put up a tweet that said effectively, Man, like, I need Brady to be more excited. He just watched a man pop a 63-yard field goal because the kicker did get the field goal off, and it was good, but there was a delay of game. Backed him up. It looked like they were going to let him try anyway because he had the distance to clear it again. It'd have been a pop. Well, Scott Hansen, after the kick, put up a tweet after Brandon Aubrey's 71-yard field goal after having a record-tired 66-yarder negated by a delay of game. They were going to go, and Brady was just like, all right, we're going to kick another field goal here. Scott Hansen put up a tweet that said, oh, come on, Brady's got to get more excited than that in the booth. Correct. Well, apparently, Scott Hansen got beat up a little bit because the next day, he put up a second tweet that said, that was unfair and inconsiderate by me. Yes, I was saying it tongue-in-cheek, but I didn't calculate how it may come across. Tom Brady, I apologize. I promise I am rooting you on in this new venture. Listen, you know me. I'm the biggest time. I think I'm the only Tom Brady guy on this station. I like Tom Brady a lot. I think the majority of people who hate on Tom Brady because they're jealous, because Tom Brady lived the life that all of us wanted to live as elementary schoolers. NFL quarterback, multiple Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP, dated, married some of the hottest women on planet Earth. Like, Tom Brady's got the life.
So you wanted to be a cheater since you were a little kid?
I wanted to be a winner since I was a little kid.
At all costs?
A winner. Okay. Whatever it takes. Rubbin's racing, boys. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. We all wanted to be Tom Brady. Everybody but Lonzo wanted to be Tom Brady.
It's not just me.
Okay. That's a very valid point. That's very fair. I didn't think about that. Point here is, Scott, no. Tom Brady was boring. Tom Brady was light. It was not exciting. There was no energy. It was very boring. Scott Hansen, I will defend you and your honor to the ends of the earth, my man. You're a dude. You're a bro. You're a guy. Love you. Nobody should have made him apologize for saying Brady lacked energy because, and I did the research, I listened to the whole game, he lacked energy entirely. Chris is on the phone. We'll get to Chris when we come back here in a minute. Got some more thoughts I want to give you before we wrap up hour 3 of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, one more read and we're back. Stay right there. I want you to know I reached out to Tyler Spartanburg, and apparently he didn't really do any interviews after his legendary phone call last year. Or as Alonzo said, he's not real. TMFINR. Here's wild. Sunday start from Anthony Richardson was his 18th start since he left high school. That number doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it does if you think about it, because he only started, 4 games last year, and he only started a handful in college. But still, that sounds weird.
Not a bad job if you can get it.
I'm telling you. Longtime friend of the show, national sports writer for Yahoo Sports, Jay Busby, has an article up on yahoosports.com that I think is relatively interesting. Apparently, it's going to be something he does on the weekly, covering the National Football League for Yahoo Sports. He asked and answered questions about the NFL after week 1, and there's a couple in there that I would like to get to, and we will here in just mere moments from now. Before we do, though, Chris has been kind enough to call into the show on the Renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone to talk a little bit about Tom Wayne Christopher Alfred Brady III, brand new color commentator for Fox Sports. Chris, what's up, big fella? Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Gentlemen, hope everybody is doing well on this lovely Tuesday morning. I'm just glad that you are defending Tom Brady here, Rob, because if there's ever a guy in life that could use a break, if there's ever a guy in life that just has never had things go his way, and to finally have somebody to defend him and come to the forefront, you're brave.
You know,
your bravery is noted, Rob.
I
It's
see,
noted.
Chris, I see the marginalized people of America like Tom Brady, and I just feel compelled to come to the defense of those that need defending. Mark it up to me being of the highest character.
I get it. It's why you're a great guy. And, you know, really the hate that comes Tom Brady's way is the hate that we all want in life. It's hate because of success, right? You know, it's not like the hate that comes towards, you know, certain fan bases that are entitled and their teams never do anything significant and they win not nearly enough championships for the talent they have. Talking about like Dallas Cowboys, Ohio State Buckeyes, you know, things like that, that's the kind of hate that you don't want to earn because it's not from a place of arrogance because you've actually accomplished something. It's more of the kind of arrogance that comes from, I get to sit on the window, but I also lick it at the same time because I'm a mouth breather. So at least it's not that. But I will say this, Rob, you've had broadcast experience. I have been blessed enough to have some broadcast experience as well. It's not easy to sit in that seat and have people listening to words that you're putting out over the air, scrutinizing everything that you have to say. We have some experience with it, and I don't blame Tom Brady for his performance on Sunday. I blame Fox for putting him in that position of not giving him the reps that he needs to build the chemistry with Burkhardt, to be able to, say the things that he wants to say, have the right energy levels. So I think that we should, again, doing the right thing, you being the Brady defender that you are, and we want to do the right thing by the public, is let's you and I make a public service announcement that we will take the $375 million, split it, take Tom Brady's seat in that color commentator role, give him the opportunity to get some reps, maybe at the high school level, maybe D3, D2, college football level. Then whenever he's ready, he can come back into that seat, get himself a new contract. You and I get the opportunity to split the role for the next 10 years. I know it'll be a pay cut for you to take the $375 million, but we'll do the best we can and, figure out how we can make that kind of money work between us. What do you say?
I think it's fair, Chris, and I appreciate it. Good to have you on the show, buddy. Yes, it would be. I
got to say something really quick. How do you know windows don't taste good if you've never licked them yourself?
These schnozberries taste like schnozberries. Super Troopers. Great movie. Yes, that obviously would be a step back in salary for me. To take that role, but I would be willing to do it for Touchdown Tommy, to give Touchdown Tommy some time to work it up. Hey, look, jokes aside, it just wasn't good. But as you pointed out, Tom Brady basically had like 2 preseason practices to get ready. Will he get better? I assume so. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to make the assumption that anybody who gets live reps is going to get better at the thing that they're doing. Doesn't matter what it is. This is why I say, kids, listen to your Uncle Rob. Whatever you want to be good at it, the rule of thumb is 10,000 hours of practice is what it takes to master something. 10,000 hours.
Why does he have to get better when if someone disparages him, they have to publicly apologize? Why does he need to get better when he knows everyone's going to be on his side and anyone who comes at him is going to get theirs?
I think the answer is because much like with movies, music, whatever, at some point, the public criticism overcomes no matter how big you are, no matter how bad you are, no matter how notorious or popular you are. And I would cite, for instance, Taylor Swift right now. This young lady last year was running the United States of America at large. Right now, she's actually the most polarizing figure on social media. And it is because of, again, like it or not, better, worse, whatever, because of some things that have gone on that she has not gotten involved with, the attack or the planned attack on her show in Vienna that she canceled, and she just never said anything about it, right? She showed up in London like 2 days later, did a show, never once said anything, whatever. A lot of people have been put off, and it is started getting to the point where it's showing in her numbers. She is dropping down the list of most listened to artists, her album sales, despite the fact that she's released 99 variants of her most recent album. Those sales are starting to fall off for the first time. And it does get to a point, or at least it feels like, where the public heat eventually overcomes the popularity that you have by being the whatever you are. In Tom Brady's case, the GOAT. So he's going to get some leeway, and the folks that run the game, predominantly the NFL and Fox, are going to shield him from criticism to give him time to get better so that they just have Tom Brady. Oh, and also, by the way, he's a great play-by-play guy or color commentator. But the reality is, if this guy stinks it up for 2 or 3 years, the fans are going to get so anti-Brady, the color guy, not the quarterback, so anti-Brady, eventually, the numbers will begin to reflect that in the ratings, no matter what you do. And at the end of the day, everything is money. Everything is money. Everything you love is driven by and dictated by the almighty dollar. And if it gets to the point that people aren't watching games, and again, I don't know that it ever will, theoretically, if it ever gets to a point that people aren't tuning into Fox games because Brady's bad, and he annoys them, so they're going over to CBS to watch whatever the counter programming is. At that point, you can't defend anybody, no matter how beloved they are.
Here's how we'll know that they've reached the end with Brady. He'll start broadcasting Panthers games.
I mean, they used to. I don't know if you remember this, though, but they used to have a Carolina Panther broadcaster back in the day,
which is like the E team.
The ET.
Whoever's on that call, it's like, who was it last week? Slareth, I think, who used to be way up and now he's down. Yeah.
I mean, you got to make room for Tommy, got to make way for
No,
Tutty Tommy.
The point. When he's doing the worst game of the week, then you'll know that they finally realize how bad he is.
Again, it was just like I said with Bryce and the Panther offense. It's one game. All right. Is this an overreaction Monday color commentator style? Yeah, for sure. For sure. We have no idea. Maybe he loosens up. Remember, Romo showed up in his first game, and he was the exact opposite. People were like, whoa, calm down, dude. Like, you're too much. And it took Romo 3 or 4 or 5 games to rein it in enough that what he brought to the broadcast didn't overshadow or wasn't overshadowed by the elation and enthusiasm for literally every. Tony Romo was the Tennessee volunteer band of color commentators, Like every time Tennessee does anything, our coach walked. Hey, we got 3 yards on the rushing play. It just got to be too much. Got to the point that something good was overshadowed by the obnoxiousness of it. Brady's the other end of that spectrum. I honestly, the insight he was providing, I thought was good. The insight he was providing as far as here's the play they ran and here's why and all that, I thought it was good, but it just sounded like he was asleep at the wheel when he did it. And that's the opposite. Listen, people, this is going to shock you. People feel that way about me. Rob, you got some good stuff here, but like you're so amplified, you're so up, you're so juiced, you're so gassed that you take away from your content with your volume. A lot of people feel that way. Not the South Carolina Broadcasters Association. They feel like this show's really good. But a lot of people feel that way. And I've been on the other end of the spectrum too. First show I ever was on. It was a good show down in the Florida Panhandle. This was 2007, whatever it was. Good show. But the first show I was on back in 2007, the host, his first name was Max. I can't remember his last name. He was a college football coach, but Coach Max, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But Max, the coach who was he had to be in his mid-70s at that point. Phenomenal football brain. Could watch a play one time. You know those people, Lonzo, that can listen to a song one time and can just play it on a guitar or on a piano instantly?
Yeah, I hate those people.
Hate those people. That was this guy with football. He could watch a play one time. When I have to diagnose a play, I watch it 11 times. I literally have to watch it every position by position 11 times to see what happened. But then I know this guy, Coach Max, could watch this play one time and he'd go, all right, this is this then, and this is the vernacular, and this guy's going to do this, and that guy's doing that. But when he did it on the show, he talked like this. I want you to go back to the first quarter, 2 minutes left on the clock. They run a double veer end around. Backside guard's going to pull around, kick the defensive end out. Fullback's going to hit that hole and get to the second level, make the block. He's going to turn out the linebacker, and then the running back, all he's got to do is beat the safety. And it's like, oh my God, dude. Like everything you're saying is brilliant. You're breaking this play down, or you're breaking down this game, or the momentum of the coaching or whatever. You're breaking all this thing down, and it's incredible. And you know what else you're breaking down? My awakeness. You're giving me narcolepsy over here, coach, right? And the best broadcasters are probably somewhere in the middle. So I think, like, if we could take Romo's enthusiasm and put it with Brady, or Brady's kind of, I thought, did a good job at being the middleman between all-time quarterback and layman, and put that with Romo's gas, I think you'd have a pretty good broadcaster. But I think the mix hadn't happened yet for Brady. I think he could be fine. I think he can be good. I'm just saying week 1 was not a great showing. He looked like the Bryce Young of color commenters. And no, it's a bad look when the NFL is coming out and going, you can't say mean things about Tom Brady. Yeah, I can. Watch me do it. I won't apologize. Also, I want to be Tom Brady when I grow up. Or Lonzo. I want to be Lonzo when I grow up.
Sign of the impending apocalypse. He was just mean to Bryce Young. Aaron Rodgers returned to the New York Jets. Starting quarterback role was spoiled by the San Francisco 49ers, who handed the Jets a 32-19 loss to enter the season. Despite despite the 49ers declaring Christian McCaffrey unavailable last minute before the contest started. Rodgers went 13 of 21 for 167 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Jordan Mason, who filled in for McCaffrey, had 28 carries for 147 yards and 1 touchdown. The Atlanta Braves dropped a 1-0 decision in a rain delay makeup game against the Reds yesterday. Atlanta recorded just 2 hits on the night, both by Matt Olson, and reached base only 3 times in total. Make sure you tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Stetson Hatters, whatever that is. It's Furman versus Stetson right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, Upstate. Well, that's weird.
Our friends at QC Connect. Yep, just saw that, Zach. That just came across to me. Change my life to feel unfulfilled.
Bourbon in the next break.
And 4.
Nature-Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature-Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature-Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Congratulations to the Week 2 Player of the Week, Jalen McGill of Mountain View Prep. Jalen McGill had a fantastic performance on Friday night against St. Joseph's. 18 carries, 174 yards, 9 receptions for 172
That's
yards.
stupid. Why would you canoe down a pile of coal.
Pile of coal?
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Or just really hard dirt. Either way, it did not end well. I'm guessing they don't have a face anymore.
It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate heading into the final hour of broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great One, Lonzo, and you. It is Tuesday, continuing to react to this weekend's football contest, and we will continue to do so, but I am going to take just a moment out of your very busy schedules to talk Atlanta Braves baseball, because the Braves, the team that had the highest expected win total coming into this season, aren't going to the playoffs. I mean, there's still 19-ish games left to play on the docket for just about everybody. And yes, there's a lot of baseball left to be played. The Braves are now out of a playoff position. The New York Mets won their game over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. The Atlanta Braves lost a makeup game. They had to play against the Cincinnati Reds. Those two teams flip-flopped position. Atlanta now in the first out position. The New York Mets have claimed the last in position in terms of the wild card race. The Philadelphia Phillies, of course, still hang on to the NL East. The LA Dodgers hang on to the NL West. And that's where we stand as of right now. I don't know what to tell you. This year was, and I think I can say was, because I at this point I'm willing to say, yeah, you're cooked if you're Atlanta. You're cooked because while you do have a 2-game set coming up against the Washington Nationals, and not only do you have a 2-game set, but you got your best 2 pitchers, Reynaldo Lopez and Max Fried, going in the next 2 days. The bad news is after that, a 4-game set against the Dodgers, Schwallenbach, Sale, Morton, and Lopez. Then a 3-game set against the Reds. Now, the Reds aren't the best team out there, but the Reds just have had the Braves number, including a 1-0 loss last night where Charlie Morton took the L despite surrendering only 1 run and K-ing 7 through 6.5 innings last night. So you got your best 2. You should win the next 2. And maybe if you're very lucky, you'll get a little bit of help from the Blue Jays. The Mets are in the midst of a series with Toronto. They have 2 games remaining. They won last night 3-2. They are on the road at Toronto tonight and tomorrow as well. Then they have a 3-game series against the Phillies, a 3-game series against the Nationals, a 4-game series at home against the Phillies. The Bravos will host the Mets for 3 games in late September, and then the Brewers will host the Mets for a 3-game series to wrap up the season. The Bravos, on the other hand, as we mentioned, 2 against the Nats, 4 against the Dodgers. They are at home at Turner Field. That's the good news. 3 on the road at Cincinnati, 3 on the road at Miami. Then you're back home for the final 6 games, 3 of them against the Mets, 3 of them against the Kansas City Royals. Of course, Kansas City, 2nd place in the AL Central. They are 79-66 as it stands right now. The Royals are the 2nd American League wild card team. So you don't exactly have an easy go of it if you are the Atlanta Braves through the rest of the year. The Reds have had your number. The Marlins, you should be able to sweep that team, but realistically speaking, in Miami, I'd be happy with 2 out of the 3. You may very well have to sweep the Mets. I mean, you may very well have to sweep the Mets in order to get yourself in. And again, I do think it is important to get yourself in, and I think it's important to get yourself in because your issue's been injuries, right? Michael Harris II missed a lot of time. Sean Murphy missed a lot of time. Austin Riley's missing time right now. Austin Riley would likely, ? Be back in time for the playoffs if the Braves were able to sneak in at the buzzer. There is no guarantee that that will be the case, but if they are, you might be able to get Austin Riley back. The only guys that did not miss time, and I know we've talked about this many, many times, the only guys that did not miss time were Matt Olson, who was not the same guy this year, right? Not the same guy this year. Dude who led Major League Baseball last year in home runs, led Major League Baseball last year in RBIs, this year has been floating around the top of the league in terms of strikeouts. Now, Matt Olson has gotten better as the season went on. Around the All-Star break, he was sitting somewhere around 1, 2, 3 in Ks. Now he's tied for 12th in Ks with 155 on the season. Also, by the way, exact same number as Marcelo Zuna. These two guys have basically been boom or bust. They've got games where they go out there and they send one into low Earth orbit. They've got other games where they go 0 for 4 with 3 Ks and a ground out. That's the problem. You pair that with a series of injuries. Ronald Acuna Jr. is out. Spencer Strider went down with the elbow injury. And again, everybody else in that lineup that was expected to be good has been banged up. Travis d'Arnaud, banged up. Ozzie Albies, banged up. Orlando Arcia, banged up. Austin Riley, banged up right now. Kelenic missed some time. Duvall missed some time. Ronnie Jr. is out. You got a bunch of guys that are. You've had a lot of your pitchers that have missed dramatic amounts of time. This is a weird spot to be in because you came in, I think, with expectations of a World Series. And again, I don't think it is. I think you came in with expectations of a World Series similar to, Lonzo, is it fair to say the Chiefs have expectations of a Super Bowl repeat this year?
I would say yes.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody would look at Kansas City fans right now and go, oh, you guys are arrogant sons of guns. Having World Series expectations. Of course they do. Of course they do. They just did it, and they've got all the talent necessary to do it again. I don't think it's crazy for the Braves to have come into this year with the highest win total over under number in Major League Baseball to say the World Series is the expectation. It's not to say you're going to win it. Just that you can. And instead, the Braves aren't even going to make a wild card spot. Braves aren't even going to be in the playoffs. Because again, I'm not saying it's impossible, especially considering the Mets have 7 games against the Phillies, and the Phillies have kind of started to throttle up as they head toward the playoffs. The Phillies are 7-3 in the last 10. They did lose yesterday, but they are back in the mix now. And I'll even go one step further in case you care about this number. I don't know that I do, to be honest with you. ESPN's playoff percentage calculator has the New York Mets with a 59.5% chance to make the playoffs, and the Atlanta Braves with a 62% chance to make the playoffs. ESPN's playoff probability calculator gives the Braves a better chance to make the postseason than the Mets, who are currently a full game up on them in the wild card right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with scheduling. I think a lot of that has to do with the injuries that the Braves will hopefully get rid of, get over when the stretch comes here. The problem is, if you're Atlanta, you were looking at, was that 5, 8, 12, 15. You got 18 games left in a 2-horse race between you and the Mets, because I do not think that either one of these teams is chasing down San Diego. Although the Padres are on a 2-game losing streak. They are now just a half game up on the Diamondbacks for the first wild card spot. The Diamondbacks 1 game up on the Mets, 2 games up on the Braves. All 4 of these teams Because I think even with the hot streak that they've been on, I do not think the Cubs have enough time to run down a 4-game disadvantage to get to Atlanta, a 5-game disadvantage to get to New York. I think they're out of time. I think they took probably 2 weeks too long. The 4 teams in contention for the 3 wildcard spots, the Padres, Diamondbacks, Mets, and Braves, they're all within 2.5 games of each other. So it is not impossible. And Atlanta probably has, in terms of winning percentage of opponents, one of the easier rides through the final 18 games of the season of the 4 teams that are in a playoff position for the National League right now. And if you can get back Austin Riley, if you can get back your entire middle infield and get them back up to full speed, if you don't have to sub in guys that you don't want to be subbing in, then I think you got a shot. But when I got Luke Williams playing second base, you're in trouble. When I got Jorge Soler, and don't get me wrong, love Soler. I'll never forget the World Series Game 6 home run. It might be my favorite home run I've ever watched. I in wrestling we have a term called a couch pop. I couch popped. Okay? That's where a wrestler makes his entrance or does something so cool in a match that even if you were at home by yourself sitting on the couch, you go, "Oh yeah!" I couch popped for Soler's bomb. That was 2021. It's 2024. It's been a long time. Okay, he ain't the same guy. So when I'm rolling out Gio Urshela at third base, this is a cat who, for the record, has been more than serviceable during his time in Atlanta. But he's also a guy who got DFA'd by the Detroit Tigers. Okay, by the Detroit Tigers. He wasn't good enough to get a spot for the Detroit Tigers. And if you're keeping track of that, that's a team that's 2 games over 500, but 9 back of their division and is in no way, shape, or form a threat to make a wild card spot in the American League. I mean, I guess they are. They're 3 games out of the 3rd spot, but they're trying to run down the Twins, Royals, and Orioles. I don't see Detroit getting it. I mean, I guess they're sneaky there. There are 3 teams, all with the 73 and 71 record: Detroit, Boston, and Seattle. Seattle's the most disappointing team in baseball this year because at least the Braves have the, I don't want to say excuse, reason. The Braves have the reason of being arguably the most injured team in baseball this year. The Braves have lost more quality starts from quality starters to injury than anybody else in baseball. The Dodgers missed a bunch for sure. The Phillies missed a handful. But as far as National League teams go specifically, the Braves have had more impactful starts lost to injury than anybody else. So I'm going to say they've been banged up enough that it's a reason. I heard a guy talking Braves the other day on one of the national networks. And he was busting up Atlanta. And he said something to the tune of next man up, Braves. You can't convince me that you're supposed to be the elite club in the National League if you can't overcome a couple of injuries. Next man up. Well, as you've heard me say, if you've listened to the show for more than like 30 minutes, next man up is not a cliche I get down with. I can't stand it, as a matter of fact. And I can't stand it for one reason and one reason alone. The next man up is the next man up because he's not as good as the man that is up. Right? The starter's the starter for a reason. And if you lose a starter, sure, next man up. But when you are losing 4, 5, 6, 7 starters for lengths of time, months at a time, weeks at a time, yeah, the next man up philosophy basically means you're asking multiple guys who aren't starters to step up and get there. Now, there are some teams that are good enough to do that because the guys they got are so damn good that they beat out guys that would be starters on other teams. That's not the Braves. They're a good team. They're a real good team. In fact, 1 through 9, I would argue, when fully healthy, I think the Atlanta Braves, and I said this going into the season, and I'll say it again now, I think 1 through 9, if the Braves are fully healthy, The Braves have the best offensive lineup in baseball. The problem is they've had to shift their lineup up and down, left and right, back and forth so many times this season that there is no one who's been in a spot long enough to get comfortable, consistent, quality at-bats in at their spot in the lineup. And when you stack that and then another and then another and then another and then another on top of it, what do you expect? How do you expect consistency? You shouldn't. You can't. And that's the season. So, I am not saying the Braves are cooked. I'm not saying the Braves are done. I'm not saying the Braves are out. Like I said, the good news is the Mets have a much tougher road ahead of them to end the season for the final 18 games. 2 more against Toronto, 3 against Philly on the road, all of those on the road. 3 back home against Washington, 4 back home against Philly. Then they're on the road in Atlanta on the 24th, 25th, 26th, and on the road at Milwaukee for the 27th, 28th, and 29th. That is a Milwaukee team that is your NL Central Division champs. Shane asked if the Cubs are out of the Central. Yes, you got 8.5 games of deficit in the whole of Milwaukee. You're not making up 8.5 games against the Brewers in 18 games. It's not possible. Okay? Unless the Milwaukee Brewers just have the most cataclysmic collapse of all time, the Cubs are cooked. The Brewers have run away with that division. They're 82-61. That's a tough road trip. A tough 6-game road swing to end the year for the New York Mets. And that includes 7 against the Phillies, 3 on the road, 4 at home. The Mets have a much more difficult end of the season than Atlanta. Can Atlanta get it right? Can Atlanta get it right when they've got the Reds, who, as I've mentioned, have been a bugaboo? Can they get it right when they have 4 against the Dodgers? Can they get it right when they end the season at home 3 against the Royals? And can they get it right on the 24th, 25th, and 26th when they host the Mets? If they can take 2 out of the 3, there's a very good chance you win the division. If they can sweep the Mets at home 3 out of 3, you'll win the division. I can't expect that they will. I've got no reason to expect that they will. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Let's take a look back at some of the questions and answers that got asked and discussed around the NFL after week number 1. I'll give you my thoughts next. Rob Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Urban.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there. Go Phillies, I guess. Yeah, rooting for Philadelphia hurts me in my soul, James. In my soul. In my soul does it hurt. But if I'm rooting for the Phillies, at least it's against the Mets.
So low.
So when you finally emerge from the shower 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy a pallet or more of select concrete mix. And there's more. Save up to 25% when you buy a pallet or more of select drywall panels. Plus, get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's Pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated. Are you sick of all the fancy charts and investment mumbo jumbo thrown at you to justify the Wall Street fees you're being charged? It's not the size of your nest egg that matters, but rather the income it can produce. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and star in a brand new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception. In this film, we traveled over 20,000 miles interviewing real Americans who have retired successfully.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for your life. Fight for your life. Down, 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 down. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
American Gladiators premiered 35 years ago today.
Happy birthday to a show that helped raise me.
Tell me what's coming up. This is bad. A new allegation.
And just like Jason Kelsey, I cheated when arm wrestling an American Gladiator. Actually, he didn't cheat. I did. I didn't either. I just moved positions. That's all. Still always wanted to do the joust. That would have been fun. Showed some other people medieval MMA.
So good, right?
Yeah.
The rubber out. Oh no. Oh no. Is that 1-1? 1-1 on a Tuesday? Did you have one yesterday? I don't remember.
I'm sure I did.
A long time ago. Long time ago. Many moons ago. All right, well, we'll say 1-1. I think it's 1-1. Anyway, NFL Week 1 in the books as of last night's Monday night football game. Some questions that I think need to be answered. Let's start with this one. Lonzo and I have been having this debate all off season long. Great one. I feel like we know the answers that both of us are going to lean into. We are going to find out, but I think it's a fair question to ask. Justin Fields do enough against Atlanta to officially name him QB1? Do you believe in the phrase quarterbacks can't lose their job to injury?
Not 1 field goal, not 2 field goals, not 3,
not 1,
4, not 5, 6 field goals. I don't need to say anything else.
My man led the Steelers to 6 field goals.
And who did they beat? The vaunted Atlanta team that was supposed to win the NFC South.
They were. May still be. Because remember, as we talked about, and this is something that goes even against teams I don't like, Atlanta didn't play their starters in the preseason either.
I just want to say, someone standing on the sidelines looked like he could play.
He was the emergency third quarterback.
Uh-huh.
If you were talking about Russ and letting him cook.
Sure he was.
I did get the thing that came through, and it was like Russell being inactive but standing on the sideline in full gear is the most on-brand Russell Wilson thing ever. But then I remembered and I went and checked. Teams are carrying a third emergency quarterback who may not check into the game unless both of the first two quarterbacks leave the game. So if you dress Russ as the third quarterback and down goes JF, you can't put Russell in there. You got to go with your number two. If he goes down, then you can add Russ. So he gets a pass on that.
Yeah, all right, put the fact that you were wrong aside, because Justin Fields did start.
But not
the first. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It does. I was right. I was right. I won that. So put all that aside. Would you bench a guy who just won the game for you?
Yes. I am.
So you can't put that aside, really?
Yes.
Because okay.
Yes, and here's why.
I don't think I'll bench him.
Here's why. He looked fine. That's it. He looked fine. Did he come in there and blow you away with his 156 passing yards and QBR of 42? No, he looked fine.
Here's what Tomlin does. Man, Russ, you look like you're still hurting. Why don't you take another week? I want to make sure you're 100%. You're my guy. You are my guy, but I want my guy at 100% before I get him back in there. So just take another week off.
I mean, we'll see. You may not be wrong.
I might even elevate you to number 2.
You may not be wrong. The Steelers are on the road at the Broncos this week after what we saw out of Bo Nix, Captain Checkdown this weekend. Honestly, that might not be the worst play.
Oh, wait a minute. So I didn't even think about that. So hey, Russ, they got some stuff against you over there. I'm afraid for your life. I don't want you to get hurt. So we're just going to leave Justin out there. So these guys who feel like they wasted a lot of money on you, so they don't come out and they know you really well. And the defense does. So we'll just leave you on the bench and we'll get you back in, let's say next week, maybe the week after.
Pittsburgh the week after. Denver on the road, by the way, back home for the LA Superchargers on the 22nd, then on the road at the Colts. Both should be winnable games.
Wait. So can't put you in there against the Chargers because your old coach cheated and got out of college football, just like the Chargers coach cheated and got out of college football, and by association that makes us look bad. So you just rehab one more week.
I very much appreciate the work here from the great Malonzo.
Oh, I can find a reason for every single week.
I have no doubt. Yes, I am a believer that a quarterback, scratch that. Let me rephrase that. I am not a believer that a quarterback cannot lose his job to an injury, right? That's been an NFL thing. That's been a football thing for a very long time.
Tyrod Taylor.
Bingo. If your QB goes down to an injury and did not play poorly to lose his job, you go back to the well and allow him to keep that job moving forward. I actually do not subscribe to that theory. I think, however, if your quarterback goes down to injury, in order to lose his job, I got to see something really special out of the next guy. I got to see something so special that even the starting QB goes, yeah, I get it. I got to see something so special that when I call QB1 of the office and go, I know you got hurt, but you're QB2, QB1 goes, yeah, I got it. I understand. I've told you guys in the past, I love it here. I'm not going anywhere unless I get a job offer that is so good that I slide it across the table and everyone I work for goes, damn, congrats, big fella. We'll see you on the Nat Waves. Like, cool. All right. I'm not going to say never. I'm just going to say it's good. Somebody's going to have to give me the bag to get me up out of the upstate of South Carolina. I'm sorry, most of you. I really like it here. All right. That's kind of the performance. And 17 of 23 for 156, no touchdowns, and a 42.6 QBR is not enough for JF to keep the job. I will say this. Didn't make a lot of mistakes, right? Wasn't winging it into double coverage. I honestly think, though, he did a relatively good, not perfect, but relatively good job of not taking off just because wide receiver 1 was unavailable. That was his problem with the Bears. Drop back, QB1, wide receiver 1. He's not there. I'm gone. However, he did run the ball 14 times. And I would say maybe 4 of those were designed that way. Maybe 4 of those were intentional runs. The other 10 were, I got nobody open and I can go. I don't have a problem with the mobile quarterback going through his progression, seeing nobody, and then going. But I can't have him do it as option number 1. And I do think he had a couple of moments where he did. I also think he had a couple of moments where he did not. So I think Justin Fields was okay. It was okay. Not enough to supplant.
I believe it's supplant.
It is supplant. Okay. Supplant. Yeah, I did it. Good job, me. Pat on the back. Not enough to supplant Russell.
Is a ficus that was knighted by the King Charles.
Or the very prestigious lead singer of Led Zeppelin. Either way.
Good one.
Thanks. The brain was spinning in circles on that one. All right. Here's another NFL question for you. Flip side. Let's do another quarterback. Is Michael Penix Jr. taking over for Kirk Cousins at some point this year? And let's say not because of injury, because of play. To me, the answer is yes. Sorry. The answer is yes. What did you see out of Kirk Cousins this weekend? Because the answer to me was nothing that impressed me at all. Not even a little.
Guy coming back from injury.
Sure.
Who had no play during the preseason.
Absolutely.
Who's going to take a couple games to get into whatever form he is. So check with me game 3.
That's totally fine. And just so we're clear, this is not me saying next week. This is not me saying now. This is me saying down the line. Because, and this is where I am concerned with Bryce Young. Same with Kirk Cousins. It's one thing to look bad in week 1. It's another thing to look like a total bust in week 1, right? That the fear for Panther fans, totally justifiable. Because what redeeming quality was there for Bryce Young? I'll give you one, the touchdown run. I don't think he panicked. I think he read the lane. I think he saw the lane. I think he attacked the lane. And I think he laid out. Okay? That he saw the field. And I will give him this. Even if he didn't make the throws, which is, and I've been around the game, I know ball. Did you know that like 85% of quarterbacking is being able to throw the ball well? Did you know that? You're welcome.
Unless you count pop passes.
Even then, you still got to put it where it goes. Like 80% of quarterbacking is being able to throw the ball and put it where it needs to be. All right? I actually believe Bryce Young saw the field well. I think he saw his receivers. I think he saw guys coming open. He just missed the throw. Is that correctable? I don't know. We're going to find out. That's what Dave Canales is supposed to be here for, to correct that. He saw the field well. I don't know that Kirk Cousins saw the field that well. And my fear coming into the season for Atlanta fans, my fear coming into the season was Kirk Cousins didn't look good in Minnesota because Kirk Cousins is a top-notch quarterback. My fear is Kirk Cousins looked good in Minnesota because he had like a really, really good set of skill position players. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I think he had a real good TJ Hawkinson at tight end last year. I think he had a phenomenal set of skill position players around him, and I think that elevated his game. I kind of put him in the Brock Purdy sphere. Brock Purdy, to me, is not a great quarterback. We saw it last night. Was Brock Purdy great last night? No. You know what he was? Good enough for Debo and Kittle and Ayuk with the and by the way, dropped the touchdown. A pass that was overthrown to Brandon Ayuk, just so we're clear. Yeah, Ayuk still needed to catch it, but overthrown. He's a good quarterback that'll get carried by great players like Kirk Cousins. Is Atlanta a team you feel is made up of great players? The answer to me so far is no. All right, let's keep reacting to NFL Week 1. Maybe we'll get some college talk in here and more. Final segment of the show is next on The Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. So I think it is important when someone is getting criticism to make sure that that criticism is A, justified, and B, credible. Not incredible, just regular credible. It's important. There was a story going around on Monday, and it is a story that you will notice that did not come to the airwaves here on this station. And it is not because I was made or I was not aware of the story. It was because it felt to me like I really needed to needed to make sure the story was true before we brought it to the airwaves. And that story, the story that was going around early this week was that Deion Sanders had asked the University of Colorado to not have the band play the Colorado fight song, a.k.a. What's the name of their song? Glory, Glory, Colorado, which I assume is similar to Glory, Glory to Old Georgia. I don't know. But the story was that Deion had asked the school to ask the band not to play the Colorado fight song after touchdowns, ... that were scored by his son, Shedeur Sanders. The story was that Deion had asked for the band not to play the fight song so that Shedeur's rap song could play over the speakers instead.
Have you heard it? Is it any good?
I have not heard it. I have no idea. Might be, might not be. No idea. So I think it's I'm curious. Okay. Now, it turns out the story's not true. At least not entirely. According to the University of Colorado, who released a statement yesterday, quote, "This is not true. Nobody ever asked the band to refrain from playing the fight song. After a touchdown, the band plays Glory, Glory, Colorado, and after a point after touchdown, the band plays Fight CU, as has been standard practice for years," which I would like to be the end of the statement, but it's not. The statement goes on to say, quote, "When Shedeur Sanders scores, the band will wait a moment for a small snippet of Shedeur's song to play before immediately kicking into Glory, Glory, Colorado." Now, this got triggered because in the game against North Dakota State University in week 1, that's what happened. Everybody went, okay, I'm in a Shedeur's song. So apparently, we do not know if Deion Sanders was involved in this decision or not. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. I'm intrigued. But what we do know is that Shedeur scores a tutty at home for the Buffs. And instead of, and I'm using the word for the statement, instead of, quote, immediately kicking into Glory, Glory, Colorado, the band doesn't play so that Shedeur's rap song can go over the speakers. Now, I'm actually going to defend Colorado and Deion about this here for just a minute. Here's the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the era of name, image, and likeness. NIL is arguably the most important thing that any college football program has going for it. Why? Because there are two groups of kids that you can attract. You can attract kids who want to be at your school for money, and you can attract kids who just want to be at your school for whatever other reason. They grew up a fan of your school. Their parents went to your school. Your school has the best blank school of all schools, journalism school, business school, secondary education school, whatever. There's a bunch of reasons that a lot of different people want to be at your school, and you can take advantage of that. And then there's a lot of people out there who want to be at your school because they going to get the bag. All right? They're going to get the bag. Now, as we have talked about, balancing between the people who want to be in your school and the people who want the bag from your school, and balancing between recruiting old school style and the transfer portal, the best coaches are going to be able to balance somewhere in the middle. And as much as I would like to say schools should place their traditions as front and foremost as they can. Remember last week, I also went after Florida State because Florida State does not play this season. They do not play the tomahawk chop during third downs anymore. I used to cover that school for a very long time. It's third down. And the fans went full throat. It was phenomenal. One of my favorite games ever that I was fortunate to go to. A buddy of mine had an extra ticket. Florida State hosted Oklahoma back in the Jimbo Fisher era, right at the beginning of it, if I recall correctly. I think it was Jimbo Fisher. That's the most ridiculous college football environment I've ever been around. Tallahassee, Florida was on a different level that night. And every time Oklahoma had third down and that tomahawk chop rang out, you had almost 80,000 people doing it. It was unbelievable. But Florida State has done away with that on third down at the request of the football team. Football team asked the athletic department to ask the band not to do it. The band agreed, said, fine, we won't play your DJ music. I hate that. That makes me sick. All right? I despise it. Just like I would despise it if we ever got a point where the football team said, hey, instead of coming out to Sandstorm, Gamecock Athletic Department, could we come out to literally anything else? It would make me sick. But part of, and this is where you as a fan get to draw a line. This is where your school gets to draw a line. Part of what you have to figure out is the balance between keeping the traditions and the history and all that of your program alive and placating football players, right? Colorado, and granted it's Shedeur, it's the coach's son. So whether or not Deion's involved or not, doesn't matter. Everything that happens around Shedeur is going to happen through the prism of that's Prime's boy. That's Deion's kid, right? But think about it. What if it's not Shedeur? What if Shedeur wasn't Shedeur Sanders? What if he was Shedeur Johnson, Shedeur Smith, Shedeur Reitzel? What if he was anything else, right? He wasn't Deion's kid. But
that last one was very obscure.
It was. If Shedeur was anybody else, but he was still Shedeur, the football player, one who, yeah, I got questions about his mental fortitude. You know what I don't have questions about? His physical capability. He's pretty spectacular, okay? Very good player. Probably a first-round draft pick. Pretty good. If that's the best quarterback that the University of Colorado had come through in Lonzo, top of your head, can you name me another University of Colorado quarterback? Because I can't.
Not the top of my head or the bottom of my head. No.
No part of his head. I'm looking right now. Cordell Stewart.
Okay.
That's about it. Joel Klatt apparently was a quarterback there. Didn't know that. Cody Hawkins was quite. I think, wasn't Cody Hawkins the one that had like 1,000 billion yards passing at Colorado?
Oh, so he's not the WWE guy who never won? Oh, that was Kurt Hawkins.
That was Kurt Hawkins.
Okay. Yeah.
Point is, I don't know. Point is, Shedeur Sanders is probably the best quarterback ever to come through Colorado. And if you're trying to attract more Shedeur Sanderses to come there, and they have eyes on a music career, they have eyes on a rap career, isn't telling a kid, hey, man, you come here, every time you put the pigskin into the end zone, we'll play your rap song in front of 77,000 people. Are you telling me that if a kid's got eyes on a music career after football's over, that's not tantalizing to him? Of course it is. That your song becomes a de facto fight song for this university for as long as you're there, that is remarkable. That is a remarkable way to take advantage of the amount of publicity that you can offer a kid. So I'm actually going to defend Deion here because even if it doesn't help you with Shedeur, it could help you with the next guy. The next guy that goes, I want to be a D1 football quarterback and I want to be a rapper when I'm done or a country music superstar. You go to Texas, score a touchdown, and then you got, I just scored a touchdown for the Longhorns. My mama gonna be proud of me.
By the way, Chris, and I'm not feeling well, so I would have corrected you earlier. Gamecocks do not run out to Sandstorm.
I didn't say. Well, did I say run out?
Yeah, you did.
They run out to 2021 Space Odyssey. I know, or 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'm aware. I've been there. It's what I'm walking out to for my reception. We're coming out to Space Odyssey. I'm aware. The hype, the bounce, whatever. You know what I meant. All right. Point here is, if South Carolina could get a 5-star blue chipper future of the franchise, and he said, but here's the deal, I want my fight, so I want my rap song played after touchdowns. Is that worth it to you to get that kid to come play for you?
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
I don't know if they have a studio in their facility. They probably do, though.
They do at Clemson. I've seen it. It's very nice.
They're doing a lot of places now. All right, the first thing is Xing is Tom Holland.
Tom Holland Xing, Spider-Man Xing. I'm assuming it has some connection to do with Spider-Man news. I believe I read the other day that the next installment of Spider-Man may not be an installment of Spider-Man, but actually more directly connected to the rest of the MCU, potentially with him being the one that is the primary face when Robert Downey Jr. makes his showing as Dr. Doom.
All right, the major reason why he's Xing, as far as I can tell, is people believe they're already filming it.
Okay.
Especially on TikTok, they believe it because he's been caught in places where he normally wouldn't be, and looks like he might be filming something as Peter Parker.
Okay.
I just don't think they could secretly film that.
Yeah, that's a big ask.
But you never know.
That's a big ask for sure.
The next thing it's Xing is Kevin Nash.
I did see why Kevin Nash is trending. Apparently, he got in. I don't want to say got into it, but kind of got into it. Got into it a little bit with Logan Paul, basically saying, you're not one of the guys. You're off there making $100 million a year from WWE to show up and do some one-offs here and there. You're not one of the boys. You don't understand it. And I got to tell you right now, as much as I love Big Daddy Cool back in the day and as talented of a wrestler as Logan Paul is, that guy, can they both lose this feud?
First of all, finger poke of doom. Just be quiet. That's
very fair.
Come on, just stop it.
That's very, very fair, to be honest.
All right, the next thing is Xing is Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. Okay, so Deshaun Watson, we should have gotten this in the show, but it is what it is. I don't really know what to say to it. There's really only one thing to know about the Deshaun Watson situation. Another allegation of sexual assault from his time with the Texans, this one back in 2020. A woman said that he invited her out to dinner. She said she didn't want to go in public with him. It's too visible. She invited him to the apartment for dinner. He showed up while she was getting ready. He got, allegedly, naked on the bed, demanded a massage. She gave him a back rub when he didn't ask for that, flipped over, asked for other favors, and then sexually assaulted her, according to the story in the lawsuit. Now, here's the big part of that story. If this was known at the time, if this coming forward was a possibility and Deshaun and his camp knew about it and did not disclose it to the Browns, that would give the Browns a way to terminate Deshaun Watson's contract without any dead money, meaning that they could go find a new quarterback. But obviously that would mean that Jameis Winston, the current backup for the Cleveland Browns, would end up being the starter. And there are people already just because of how bad Deshaun was this weekend, already people clamoring for Jameis to get the start next week for Cleveland.
Yep, that's why he's Xing. And finally, Bill Goldberg is Xing.
Goldberg. I have not watched Raw, but I believe it has something to do with Bret the Hitman Hart being an enormous smartass last night.
Oh, no, it has to do with friend of the show, Gunther.
Oh.
Saying his second favorite wrestler is Goldberg.
But he said it to Hitman?
Yes.
Phenomenal.
I haven't seen it. I saw the clip, but I didn't get to watch Raw either because I was watching football. I'll watch it later.
Same here. Texture said Stewart over Sanders. The music is the type of stuff that Dabo is avoiding. Just saying, if Clemson wins the ACC and makes the college football playoff, I will have to reevaluate my opinion of how Clemson handles NIL and the transfer portal. That's from Spartanburg Jay. We'll address that tomorrow, Jay. I like that take. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
It's good. It's good. The job is done. We can go home now.
Gunther, friend of the show, Gunther, by the way, is very good at his job. I feel comfortable saying that now. I felt comfortable saying it when he was here. I also felt like I needed to say it when he was here because he was a very large man.
Well, he did the smirk.
He's got a good smirk.
He does.
He's got a good smirk.
He's got a James Bond villain.
He does
smirk. So
he does. You know what? He might be like he would be next in line to be the next Bond villain. He'd be a good one too. Big, intimidating,
Oh,
German. Well,
absolutely. Should he replace the dude who petted the cat?
No, Mr. Bond. I want you to die.
No, petted ain't a word. Leave me alone.
What did we do in the opening segment of that last hour? I've forgotten entirely.
The 8 o'clock hour?
9 o'clock hour.
That would be the hour that was not. So technically, we're still in that.
Okay, the beginning of this hour.
You know,
sorry.
I'm just saying.
I said of that last hour.
Yeah, which would be the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
Atlanta,
Beginning of 9 o'clock.
the beginning of this hour was the Atlanta Braves. You're not going to win this one. I'll bring Chris in for this. Because I think he'll be on my side.
I don't think so. I feel like I'm good there.
Not when this hour ain't over yet. I'm just saying. Just because the show's over doesn't mean the hour just instantly ended.
All right, dudes and dudettes, that's it for us. Thanks for being here. You're all spectacular people. Tell your friends about us. Help us grow the show. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you back tomorrow for the midweek edition. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Have a great day. Love you long time. Goodbye.